Yo, 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 yo. This feels illegal. How long are the streams typically? Usually like 4 hours. Ish. How you guys doing? How's everybody feeling since Little Nightmares 3 last night? How was my day? It was good. It was just a lot of business crap. Business meeting crap. Just, endlessly putting out fires, but doing more controlled burns. Still hospitalized. I'm sorry to hear that. Do a 24-hour stream. I don't know how that goes. What did I eat for dinner? I had Chipotle. A Chipotle bowl, chicken related. It's your birthday. Much love from the UK. Happy birthday, Joshy boy. Do I do YouTube full time? I do. It is my shtick. Did anybody enjoy Little Nightmares 3 last night? Was that fun? / what did you think of the game? I guess you already heard my thoughts if you were there, but I've been seeing a lot of Chipotle ads recently. Guess that means it's time for you to go eat a burrito. A big old one. Spine infections are serious business. Oh, geez, yeah. Where did that arise from? I don't remember if you told us or not. Can you get a recap of Little Nightmares 3? Well, if you played the previous ones, it literally was just that game. Like, if I'm really going to sit and think about what was even remotely different about it, there wasn't really anything. It was just like your one character had a bow to, like, shoot things that were... There was actually only, like, maybe 1 or 2 sections in which the bow was, like, some degree of combat. And then the big hammer... the big wrench was just used to finish off enemies, which was kind of cool, but it only was used like 1 time. That was about the only honest, cooperative experience there were. Isn't that meningitis? I think your meninges is in your brain, which maybe meningitis can arise from a spinal infection, but I'm not really sure if it, like, maybe it went from the brain down to the spine, but I guess IV drugs is where it arises from. Oh, okay. Yikes, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that sounds like if it's IV drugs, would that mean it's, like, systemic then? Unless it was, like, pain medicine directly to the spine. How y'all living? Doing good. Little Nightmares 3 was more basic than I would have liked. The ending was a little sad. Yeah, there just wasn't really anything... I don't know. I really expected, like, some next level shit. But I did see some gameplay released for the Reanimal game. I didn't want to watch it because I kind of want to experience that completely cold. Oh, staph infection. Damn. I forgot to mention my photo shoot was great. I never modeled before, but I did really well according to the photographer. That's cool. Yeah, what did you say? What got you into modeling? I don't remember you ever saying you were doing that before. I had meningitis surrounding the brain and spine. Yeah, I wonder how that arose from... it always starts somewhere, unless there's a direct pathway to the infection site. Stream again, Joel? Oh yeah, we're back. Tonight we're recording some more Halloween stories. Should be dope. You like the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's? Yeah, I never really... I think I know most of it, but I never actually got to play the games themselves much. Your heart stopped 3 times. Yeah, there wasn't like really any like jump scares or even like really that many tense... There was almost maybe like too many running scenes in Little Nightmares. I just figured there would be like a lot more... I'm not sure how to describe it, just like unique experiences, which was kind of the definition of the previous one. Even just the way that you like died to certain things was kind of just boring. You know, there was no like traps, there was no like surprises. I don't know. What's up, Jessica? What's up, Maui? Oh, from the Menagenics, your heart stopped 3 times. Okay, it wasn't Five Nights at Freddy's. That's how they keep you going, actually, is while you're getting surgery. They make you watch a Five Nights at Freddy's Markiplier Let's Play. There was a blonde white guy on my football team in high school that passed from meningitis. He bullied my friend, so I didn't care. I got chastised because I refused to attend the prayer thing. Well, that's tough, man, yeah. I mean, it's really sad. Sometimes, you know? Hey, Eugenia, what's happening? How are you going? How's it going? And Lux? Oh, damn, I thought it was past tense. I'm sorry, you're going oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we got some Halloween stuff here tonight. Thanks for being here, guys. It's kind of interesting when we do like a, you know, stream after stream, because it's like, it almost like doesn't give you the proper amount of downtime between streams. And I really don't have a whole lot to report sometimes between each stream, honestly. There's like not much to say. But yeah, what's new with you guys? Anything cool? Anybody playing Battlefield 6? Hey, Valleyheart, how you doing? Osteomyelitis is actually what my condition is called. It's when the infection reaches the bones, which is why I have to do 6 weeks of antibiotics. Damn, I can't believe I made it all the way there. That's crazy. Daily fart report. How many farts have you released? Your son, who's 20, had his first MMA fight last night. He has bloody must, but he won. Dude, congratulations, son. That's crazy. That sounds really intense. I don't even know where they do MMA stuff like that. Reach the bone zone. Yeah. I didn't catch another one live. Renaissance Festival yesterday was freaking epic. Oh, nice. Yeah, I was actually supposed to go to one of those today, but my one friend bailed, and it was like through friend of a friend. I don't know. So we just ended up doing business stuff today, but whatever. Have you watched the new Dracula movie? I'm in love. New Dracula? Oh. I think I saw that advertised. I did not see it. No. I watched Nosferatu a while back. Was it better than that? Jim, and thought you posted a Halloween video. No, not till Monday, Thursdays. Did you hear the new FNAF 2 movie? Matt Pat's voicing Bonnie and Megan Fox's Toy Chica. It's a big jump between celebrity. Matt Pat makes sense, but Megan Fox was unexpected. Yeah, I don't know. Nowadays in Hollywood, it's just like these weird celebrity voiceovers. It's like really not even that exciting. I heard anything about the movie, any well-known cast? Yeah, I have no idea. That's cool. Matt Pat's coming back, though. Renfest is so much fun. Yeah, I was excited, but it was just a little bit of a busy day. What I had for dinner? Yeah, it was just a little Chipotle chicken bowl. Yeah, maybe Megan Fox is a personal huge fan of the franchise. She gets spooked. She has her own Let's Play channel. No comparison. The new Dracula is out of this world. So worth it when you have time. Interesting. No comparison. I don't know. I really liked Nosferatu. So if it's no comparison, then maybe I gotta get in there. You're going to a Ren Festival on your birthday on Saturday. Nice, dude. You guys gotta help me come up with a title for these Halloween stories. Since they're kind of general, it can just be whatever clickbaity thing you think. Nosferatu was gross. Yeah, what was gross about it? I guess himself, he was gross, but what was it? Like he was sucking on people's chests at times or something? I'm trying to think of what part was actually gross. Because it was very just like sort of like Victorian play. Oh, himself. Yeah, he definitely was pretty creepy, yeah. Where's the animation from? That's Robin made that. One of my friends, he does most of the art on the channel. Anyways, shall we kick this off? Hey, Joel, the last Halloween ever. What do you mean the last Halloween ever? Is that an ominous threat towards all of Earth? I binged probably 300 plus videos so far and I'm loving it. Can't wait for Halloween. Thank you, Al. Good to see you. The idea. What's the idea? Have you tried Black Ops 7 beta? No, I'm not really a Call of Duty fan at all, honestly. I'm excited. I'm like sort of excited for Battlefield 6. I mean, obviously I've watched it and it does seem like it could be fun. But I also just kind of don't. I don't know. Just don't really care too much anymore lately about shooters and stuff, unless they're like really different. Honestly, I would really enjoy Battlefield or Call of Duty a lot more if like the physics systems were just like really awesome, or just something new and novel, kind of like Red Dead, but I just feel like I've been playing those games forever and it's the same shit. I have played D's. I played all the games in the D's series. Any plans for the Halloween weekend? Honestly, nothing too crazy. Probably just chill maxing, trick-or-treating. Let me grab a drink. Remember, hey Google, play Justin Bieber. And it was Pet sitting in there. Google did it. That's awesome. Just you're like about to fall asleep and you get woken up by Justin Bieber. Oh shite. Well, we're back at it, ladies and gents. Get your cookies ready. So just to clarify, I hate Halloween. Now, I don't resent other people enjoying it. I'm not a total Grinch like that. But every year when all those decorations start going up and the big bags of fun-sized candies start appearing in the stores, I'm reminded of something I've tried a long time to forget. I used to live in an apartment in the city, and I'd spend a lot of my time sitting at my computer whenever I wasn't at work or at the gym. My desk was right next to a window on my left, and sometimes I'd find myself looking out of it and watching the city just go by. I wasn't a creep about it. I didn't stare at anybody or anything. It was more like people watching, wondering where folks have been, where they're going, and what kind of lives they lead. I saw people walking around during the holidays in their hats and coats, carrying gifts or trays of covered food, and I saw all the new college kids moving in and around September. Whoops. Oxy, what's up? Yippee! Stream every day for your amusement. Just keep me in a cage, in a chain. Put a shock collar on me in case I move away from my bed. My 2x4 bed. Get back there! Get back to your spot, Funko Pop! Funko Pop Joel. Hit me with a stick. A giant branch. A switch. Back in the day, they called that a switch. I saw all the new college kids moving in around September, wheeling office chairs along the sidewalk with bags slung over their shoulders. And then around Halloween, depending on which day it fell on, I'd see costume kids walking the streets and collecting candy and admiring each other's costumes. And despite what I said earlier about hating the holiday, I actually used to really dig it. I'd carve one of those miniature pumpkins to put on my windowsill and hang a small Happy Halloween banner above it. I'd put a bowl of candy down near the front door as well, something for the kids to... I'd put a bowl of candy down near the front door as well, something for the kids to help themselves too. And it quickly became one of my favorite times of the year, and I'd sometimes find myself window watching for that first hour after dark, standing there with a beer or a cup of coffee and just checking out what the costumes the kids were wearing that year. Now back in 1989, it was a Batman year in a big, big way. The movie had just come out that summer, so I knew that I was going to see a lot of Bruce Waynes walking around down there, But the night itself was beyond anything I imagined. There was like an entire army of little Batmans out there, only occasionally broken up by the odd Nicholson-era Joker with a purple blazer and green hair. You got yourself your usual suspects, your vampires, your zombies, your werewolves. But that year, the Batman dominated. So maybe around 7 in the evening, I was done. I was done. Dance monkey, dance monkey, dance monkey, hey, hey. Whoa. Joe, I got my first tattoo today. Oh shoot, what did you get? It better be on your lower back. Just like me. How old were you when you stopped trick-or-treating? I think I was 13. I think I was 13 too. I remember going, I think, my 7th grade year. And then I'm fairly certain I was going to go 8th grade, but my dad did not let me. He said, if you go trick-or-treating, I'll fucking kill you. Just kidding, he didn't say that, but that's pretty much he should have said that. He broke my heart. You're a clown for Halloween? Hell yeah, dude. Let's go, loco. I go loco for clowns. Last time you went was when you were 19? Holy shit. Did you literally just keep going all the way through high school? Because I'm kind of jealous as crap. The only live stream that I come across that reply to most comments, thanks for that. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know, talking to people's kind of entertains me too. I see some streamer, I mean, granted, I guess most streamers like playing games, so they might be distracted. But I don't know, a lot of the times they're just like in their own little world. Like you look at like some streamers and how like disconnected they are, and they just, I get it, you got to keep like an, you know, your audience at like arm's length. But a lot of the streamers just seem very like self-centered, or like they don't really like view their audience as other humans or something. It's like they look at them as like a series of insects that have invaded their picnic, and they just have to keep them contained. They still go. That would be sick. Had a drunk old lady show up for candy. Let's go, dude. You should have fed her. Fed her the snackies. Better than doing naughty stuff. That's true. I mean, yeah, it keeps you safe. I went every year, though, through my senior and then as a kid, so I only didn't go for like 1 year. That's amazing, honestly. I would go still right now. Honestly, I don't really know why there isn't like an adult trick-or-treating night of sorts. You know, you just wear, I mean, I guess they have parties now, but there should be something, some sort of, maybe they could do that at bars or something, hand out alcohol, but I could see that getting kind of crazy. You view them as peasants. My lowly subjects, thank you for arriving today to hear my daily decree. Detroiters. Portia, the context was Ellis said Joel would make good money reading romance novels. Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps one day we'll get there. I don't know. I do not know. I went trick-or-treating that was forced to egg a car after those. I made major regrets, dude, yeah.
Mischief night. We were out for mischief night. What's also just so happened to coincide with all the grocery stores throw out their rotten eggs night. We really need to change up the holidays.
So maybe around 7 in the evening, I was done window watching and I was back at my desk doing a little work prep. And since it was all prep, sometimes I'd done a million times, I found it all very boring. And then as my eyes started to wander, I got caught jerking off. And then as my eyes started to wander, I caught sight of a group of trick-or-treaters walking past my window. And out of habit, I turned to check out their costumes and was surprised to see a group of 4 kids, maybe 12 to 13, and without a single Batman among them. There was an Indiana Jones, a pretty good one too, but the one that really caught my attention was the kid dressed as John Rambo, complete with a black tank top and red headband. And I was thinking, how the hell did a kid manage to catch a total gore fest? Joel would make good money showing his armpit and feet. It's true. I would make a killing on armpitandfeetshowers.com. What was my best costume? I remember one year, it did not go well. It wasn't even that long ago. When the hell was it? It was like maybe 2013, maybe 14. I think I dressed up as ISIS. And I thought that was gonna kill. I really did. I thought that was gonna absolutely crush. And no one, like the guy hosting the party was like legitimately like angry at me about that. I was just like, okay, whatever. Guess you're just not in the spirit. I was thinking, how the hell did a kid manage to catch a total gore fest? But then I remember my own 12-year-old self moving mountains just to get my hands on a copy of that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And then right as I'm reminiscing about watching Leatherface going absolutely bat-poop crazy at the end of the movie, I see this dark gray van pull up next to the kids. I couldn't see the driver, but I saw the kids stop and look over towards the window where he was obviously talking to them. Seconds later, the driver got out of his seat, slammed the door closed, and walked around to the double doors at the back. The kids followed him, each of them looking curious as the guy kind of yapped away like he was trying to sell them something. And he looked normal, I guess, totally unremarkable. But as he's standing there talking to them and pointing towards the rear of his van, I get this sudden and terrible feeling that something awful was about to happen. I guess it was because of how cartoonishly suspicious it looked. Like it legitimately looked like a scene from some cheesy after-school special which has the theme Stranger Danger. But I guess that's what also gave me pause to look. I didn't know who that guy was, but those kids might, and it was entirely possible that he was one of their dads or uncles or something, there to actually get them after trick-or-treating. And there was also 4 kids and only one of him, so unless he was some kind of ninja, there was no other way. You need sleep. You better get your sleep. Funko Pop. One Halloween I dressed up as a night elf from World of Warcraft. I painted myself purely. Highly do not recommend doing that because it took forever to get the body paint off, and I use Pros 8 and acrylic paint. Oh shit, isn't there like specific body paint to use, or I guess you just kind of go with it. What's up, Astral? How you doing? Do you know the way? What do you guys think like the most iconic meme in the past decade has been? Like one that's just like stuck with you as far as like format. I mean, obviously you have Wakanda Knuckles we just referenced there, but like, you know what I mean? Of that caliber. Troll face. Yeah, troll face, I guess. You're gonna be a deer for Halloween, gonna stand out on the road and see what happens. Just sit there and stare. Walk on 2 legs like a skinwalker. Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan Nope one? There was a Tracy Morgan Nope meme? Which one was that? The little girl smiling while the house burns behind her. That one's solid, yeah. These ones are going way back. That might even be beyond a decade. I'm the literal Jersey Devil. Dressed as a pair of ghouls with my boyfriend. Brother was too scared to answer the door. That's awesome. I know, like dressing up as some like really scary shit when you go to a party. Like the people who like put on full gothic, like black metal band style makeup, you know, with the contacts that you put in that change your eye color. The Pennsylvania Devil. There is like a Pennsylvania cryptid. I forget what he's called though. It's like called the Glorp or something. It's like the Glorp, and it's just like sort of a depressing pile of like sentient shit that like wades through swamps and just kind of like, yeah, the squonk, that's right. The Funko squonk. The Funko Pop. He comes alive at night and tells you how much of a fucking loser everything is. Do you remember your video of the serial killer in Arizona with the fun room? Just listen to it from 3 years ago, perfect for October. Shoot, I don't even remember. I don't remember nothing. Once I read something, even if it's one sentence ago, it's out of my mind. It's a defense mechanism for how spooky these stories are. I don't remember a single one. It's hard being obscure characters for Halloween. One year I was a blue meanie of Yellow Submarine fame, and most everyone was asking if I was a Smurf. Both blue, totally different vibes. I know. You gotta do inside jokes from the year 1912. Justice for Squonk. Yeah. Dress up as the Reddit alien. Am I the asshole? Hey Reddit, my partner thinks that them having sex with other people is chill. There were also 4 kids and only one of him, so unless he was some kind of ninja, there was no way that he was throwing all 4 into the back of that van, and it was unlikely he was dumb enough to even try. It was also right at the side of a normally busy road with apartments and houses on either side, and with the occasional car driving past too. So unless this guy was a complete maniac, I couldn't see him trying to abduct 4 kids in such a busy, well-lit place. But no matter how much I tried to rationalize what I was seeing, no matter how much I told myself I was being paranoid or a scaredy cat, I couldn't help but shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. I managed to talk myself down a little, mentally at least. But when the guy opened up the rear of his van and looked like he was showing something to those kids, I actually turned in my chair and picked up my desk phone, ready to call 911. And there was still that voice in my head saying, he's not going to grab one of them, he can't. You're just being paranoid. And part of me was totally convinced that he was going to drive off without any sort of incident, and I was going to turn back to my chair feeling like an idiot. But there was this other competing voice too, one that said, get ready to make a note of that license plate. And then, as suspected, the unthinkable happened. As the kid in the front stepped forward, like he was almost trying to get a closer look at whatever was in the back of that van, the guy pounced. In what seemed like one fluid motion, the man picked the kid up off of his feet and then dragged him into the van. The kid's 3 friends ran off, just turned tails and ran. And as I hit 911 and brought my phone to my ear, I tried to get an angle so I could see the van's license plate. It took off so fast that I wasn't able to read all of it, but I told the dispatcher everything I'd just seen and was able to describe the guy in his van in a fairly quick amount of detail. Whoopsies, I fucked up. I fucked up the whole story. I'm gonna have to delete the channel. I'm gonna have to delete my whole YouTube channel. I messed up one sentence. Speaking of calling 911, I'd love to hear some 911 stories. That would be good, yeah. You know who does that, I think, still? Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't your maker do like whole channel of 911 stuff? Hey Justin, what's up, dude? One Halloween, my sister and little cousin were geishas and Mikos, and we just saw Memoirs of a Geisha, and my uncle's ex-military. He had legit costumes, but interesting. You butt dialed 911 at a concert? That's amazing. They're just like sitting there trying to call you back like 9,000 times. What's up, Godzilla's nuts? It's being a Sigma. Your maker fell off after his daughter? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I feel like I vaguely recall something, but... Jay Poole, thank you, dude. It took off so fast that I wasn't able to read all of it, but I told the dispatcher everything I'd just seen and was able to describe the guy in his van in quite a bit of detail. Mother fricker. Describe the guy and his van. I can't read it quite. Okay. How did you butt down when I'm on? Maybe it was like the immediate emergency button or something. Submit my 911 stories hopefully in the near future when I move. Did you say you were a dispatcher, Beth, or what? Or you just had to call them every day just for fun? What's your disorder? I got some honking cheeks. Some straight up clappers. It took off so fast I wasn't able to read all of it, but I told the dispatcher everything that I'd just seen and was able to describe the guy and his van in quite a bit of detail. The dispatcher woman said that she had officers en route and that I could relax because the police would do everything they could. And that calmed me down a little at the time, but I guess the clue was right there in front of me. Because if the cops really did do everything they could, it wasn't nearly enough. The first missing persons poster went up. Oh, okay. Damn. Alright. It's just some weird yellow thing. I do recognize, I feel like I've seen that PFP on just like random memes. Just like a crying face or like the one where its hands are up like, no. It's been forever though. Heidi Coons, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. You work at a state park. My neighbor is a very scary and schizophrenic. Oh, okay, yikes. Frickin' yikes. Because if the cops really did do everything they could, it wasn't nearly enough. The first missing persons poster went up just a couple of days later, and every single time I saw one, it was agony. The picture they used of the kid was obviously one from happier times, and thinking that he might never be that happy again just about killed me, because I saw the moment that changed his life forever. Now I don't know if he was ever found. I hope he was, but part of me thinks that he stayed missing and was eventually declared dead. I later read that in America, a kid goes missing every 40 seconds and that almost 500,000 are reported missing every year. Most of them are returned home to their parents after they wandered off and got lost, but a large percentage of those that go missing are never reunited with their family. And I hope it wasn't the case, but sometimes I think that that kid was one of them, and on top of messing up my one chance to keep him safe, I got a front row seat to see pure evil leave its mark, not just on me, but on the whole world. Anyone in here quit vaping? Like today or in the future? He came home to my house with a knife. I filled out the restraining order during a stream. Jesus, what did he say? She was making fun of me in her head. I could hear it. Which, granted, he was right. Now, was a knife the appropriate response? It's arguable. I'm actually making smoked turkey legs tomorrow. Like the Renaissance Fair at Disney, I'm so happy about this brine. I also made sweet potato loaf. I love fall food. Sweet potato loaf? Holy shit, you're getting a jump start on Thanksgiving. Let's go, dude. Someone asked me if I was in the new Tron. It was a jab. They weren't serious. Damn, do you have someone in there look like you? That new Tron kind of snuck up on me. I feel like I didn't hear any advertising or anything, and I am curious if it's like good. I heard it was fun, I guess. I don't know. That's right, Jared Leto. Jared Leto. He's got his own secret little island. We've all been there, we've all been there. When I was in 8th grade and with Halloween fast approaching, me and my middle school buddies brought up the subject of trick-or-treating. Now at age 12, we felt like we were right on the cutoff point for it because when we got to high school, doing stuff like dressing up seemed like it'd get us very little candy and a whole lot of bullying. And then as we were talking about it, it suddenly hit us that 2002 would be our last ever year of trick-or-treating. Now I'll save you all the boredom of a long poetic diatribe about growing pains and putting away childish things, but I mean it when I say that we were bummed out as hell. Yet I wanted fucking candy. Can't wait to Spaceballs 2. It should be interesting, honestly. I'm curious. I don't know. Like, seeing actual comedies in theaters again, it's curious. Because comedy has kind of sucked a lot of wieners lately. I mean, like, even fucking South Park, I heard, has not been really that great or done a whole lot, you know what I mean? What's up, Seeing Red? You tell a story and then you talk regularly, so trippy about no home, I like it, but no worries. It's, yeah, I'm just recording stories, so it's like start, stop, start, stop. You gonna do another game stream? Little Nightmares 3 was a vibe. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully something down the road here, maybe, depending on if we get a free weekend or if something really catches my fancy. Maybe I'll like stream the Re-Animal game. Maybe that could be good. Anybody know when that comes out? Someone said it was, I think Justin said it was 2026. Undetermined date. Probably not for another year, just so they let the, you know, vibe of whatever it is, Little Nightmares ride out. But I mean it when I say that we were bummed out as hell. Yet that only motivated us to go all out with our costumes so we could truly make that last night of candy mining one to remember. I didn't have the hair to dress up as Aragorn or Legolas, so I put together a hobbit costume consisting of a brown jacket, shorts, and a green blanket that I turned into a cape. I also got my hands on a pair of novelty human feet slippers, which really tied the costume together and made it look like I had giant, hairy hobbit feet. Now my buddy Chris dressed as Harry Potter, which was easily the best costume because he had all the Gryffindor merch to make it look legit. And then our two buddies, Richie and Matt, came as Spider-Man and Shrek, respectively, with Matt painting his entire damned head with green face paint and even dyeing his hair green too. And he got a gold star for effort. But without the bald head or Shrek ears and being skinny as a rake, he just looked kind of hilarious. Now we all met at my house at around 5:30, and then after putting some finishing touches on our costumes, my mom grabbed her camera and snapped a picture for posterity. And that picture ended up being something that I deeply cherish, even all these years later. We look so young and happy, but there's a sort of naivety about us too, because little did we know, this was the very last time we'd all be in the same place at the same time. We just didn't know it yet. We headed out onto the streets at around 6 p.m., and while Halloween was always a big deal around our neighborhood, that year it felt extra special. Whole platoons of costumed kids were being led up and down the sidewalk by their chaperones, and almost every single lawn was trying to out-spooky its neighbors with increasingly extravagant decorations. And if our business was candy, then business was good, because we were so impressed with our costumes. Whoops. My dad loves Tron, and he said it was pretty good, but it has so to do with AI, so it's like, I guess you could say a multiverse like in reality, but then AI is involved. Interesting. What's up, Non-Colgan? I'm a ride or die for Lineage lip mask. Besides, lanolin, nothing else works with the flavor scent variation is always awesome. What is that? I might get that. Buy that on Amazon right the frick now. What's it called? Lanolin lip mask? It's like an overnight bullshit for dry, chapped ass motherfucking lips. Okay. Organic lanolin lip balm. Yeah, girl. Battlefield 6 looks bussin'. Are you gonna get it? Oh, Laneige. What the flirp? Laneige. Lip sleeping mask. It's like a Halloween mask. Alright, what do we got in it? Let's take a look. Laneige lip sleeping mask. Nourish, hydrate, vitamin C, muru. Obviously we need that. Shea butter, antioxidants, flaky dry motherfucking lips. Okay, I like where your head's at. I'm gonna get myself one of them. Laneige. Oh, sorry, Laneige. Forgive me. I'm not French. That's kind of what I love about dressing up in costumes, as long as it looks authentic and people can tell who you are. Like, ethnicity and skin color doesn't matter at all. Yeah, exactly.
Just have some fun with it.
What's up, Chris? Good to see you, dude. Could be super wrong. I'm in a drugstore. It's okay. Buying some drugs. Get me some. Get me some Tylenol. I want to get stupid. People were so impressed with our costumes that wherever we went, we'd get at least a handful of goodies or two. And even if People were so impressed with our costumes that wherever we went, we get at least a handful of goodies or two, even if in one case it was just a bunch of sugar-free candy and a toothbrush from someone who must have surely been a dentist. But it made for an awesome night, and we covered almost the entire neighborhood in almost 2 hours. But even when we'd hit up probably every house we could, and we had enough candy to last us till Thanksgiving, we still didn't feel like calling it quits. We wandered the streets, admiring costumes and lawn decorations, and talking about all the cool horror movies our parents wouldn't let us see for at least another 3 or 4 years. And the feeling that we had that night is still something I appreciate about Halloween, even after all these years. But it's a holiday that comes with a lot of unhappy memories, and all because about what happened at around 8:30 to 8:45 that night. Since Matt and Richie lived out in the sticks, their parents were due to pick them up from my place at 9. So right around 8:30, Richie suggested that we make our way back so they wouldn't leave their rides waiting. And Chris seemed kind of bummed out that we were calling it a night, but we were all bummed out because we knew what it meant. It was the last time that we'd all get to spend... Oh, fuck, I can't find a rhythm with this. I'm just barely making it through. I took 11 grams of shrooms one time, reached ultimate peace, which also seemingly saw the layer of reality that lays in front of our eyes. Super weird, felt like I could just pull the curtains down. And why didn't you? Just kidding. Yeah, do you still feel good after that? Was it like a lasting peace? Hyaluronic on moist lips that's sealed in with a lipid is the best bet. Oils won't soak into the lips, just create a barrier, but that's good, as long as they're hydrated underneath that. Wait, so what product would you suggest, Justin, that absorbs into the goo, into the breach? Hyaluronic has good exterior too, but I eat it. I think it's time to go for a drive and listen. Let's read. Y'all ready to go? I can pick you up. Yeah, can you come get me? Having a great psilocybin trip kind of changes things forever for the better. Is it possible to have a really bad one and then you just become schizophrenic? I don't necessarily have schizophrenia in my family, but I do have a fear that if I were to just do it, I could become something that is not good. Mentally exhausting, not long-lasting, please, just in the moment. I saw those DMT entities similar to what you see when you search them online. The gnomes. Also, that was one stupid thing in, Little Nightmares 3, is that the gnomes were only present for, there was, 2 instances of gnomes. Do you remember that? We only, chased, 2 gnomes. And then beyond that, they just don't give a shit about gnomes, and the only thing you collected were, little dolls. Anything with hyaluronic, a serum works great, then plop some lip goopage on. Lanolin is great as long as you aren't allergic. I need a name. I need a product name, or I don't know what I'm looking for. Avoid petroleum-based products whenever possible. Yeah, I remember for years I would use, overnight I would use the Aquifer, but I know that's petroleum-based, right? But it worked really good. I mean, it's you never got chapped lips or anything. It just sat there and created this crazy frog barrier. It has plastics. Oh shit. The BBC cream. Not that I know of. I have to look into it. It's flammable? So you're telling me I shouldn't smoke in bed while having that on my lips? Lana Lips is great and tastes yummy, and you could use the ordinary hyaluronic. Why not? Affordable and easy to get. Okay, real quick. Lano lips. What the hell? You can put it on cake too? Alright, fuck it. Fuck it, we ball. We ball regardless. Damn. Add to fart. I'm adding it to my fart. Was just laying in bed, felt like I was sinking into it, tears uncontrollably coming out. Not crying though, also has two different alternating sounds going in into each ear. Psychs are weird, man. Are you wearing scuba gear in that thumbnail? I don't know. I think it's my super suit. It's my space shit. Also, John, I feel like we haven't seen you in a bit. What's up, Finksy? What's up, Emily? It does seem like YouTube kind of sends like notifications out in batches. I feel like for live streams they should send them out like in big batches. Joel Soul. Saturn Joel. It was the last time we'd all get to spend as kids together, because in a year's time... Wait. Let me just restart from the thing ago. What's up, Holly? You ever dressed up as the astronaut spooky season? If not... Dude, I remember I was going to, and I like didn't get shit in time. I had like a green suit purchased and everything, and it just did not come in time. That's what she said. YouTube sends out notifications for your stream a lot, Joel. You were easy pickings to make fun of. Oh, perfect. Bully me. Bully me. I've had your podcast on while I've driven across every state in the lower 48. You've been listening to every state and also listened in the last 9 years. Thank you, friend. Appreciate you. I think I'm going to do like a Coast to Coast AM homage in one of the episodes of the podcast, like some sort of song that kind of sounds similar to their intros. Anybody here ever listen to Coast AM? What's up, Becky? I'm having mysterious health problems, so I'm laid up listening to way too much YouTube, so I'm always red on notifications. Damn, what's going on? So right around 8:30, Richie suggested that we make our way back so they wouldn't leave their rides waiting. Chris seemed kind of bummed out that we were calling it a night, but we were all bummed out because we knew what it meant. It was the last time that we'd all get to spend as kids together, because in a year's time, we'd all be young adults, as they were calling it at the time. And things were changing. I felt it. We all felt it. And it sucked. I didn't give Chris's bad mood a second thought, though. Not till we reached the place that we usually parted ways, and he just kept on following us back to my place. I figured that he might have been trying to catch a ride with Matt or Richie, but when I asked him, Chris said that he wasn't planning on going home. Now he says, there's got to be a couple of more houses that still have candy, and explained that he wanted to get his last piece of Halloween. Jacob Bowling says, I tore my bicep this week and have surgery tomorrow. I'm not too happy about it because I'll probably be out of work for a while. Damn, Jacob. I feel like every time you update us, something absolutely catastrophic happens, and I'm very sorry to hear that. How often do I change my brakes in my car? I was looking at my calipers today. It's funny you say that. It's not there. It wasn't too long ago that I got them changed. I feel like within like the past 2 years, I think. Hi from Australia. I've been listening to your videos for so long, but it's the first time joining live. Welcome. Yeah, we're just recording some spooky tales for tomorrow's video. But thank you for being here. And Sarah R, lady with the 5 subs. What's up, everybody? Wearing for Halloween this year. I'm going to a Halloween party on the 25th, going to try to win with my painted skin suit. Hell yeah, dude. Going to the Eyes Wide Shut orgy. How's Saturn Soul going? It's going okay, honestly. It's I think we got to really hone in on like titles and thumbnails just to like capture people, because like if I were to go to Saturn Soul right now, you know, the last video, it's got like 10k 5 days ago, which is solid. But this one, the most sadistic, so it's like just that title, the most sadistic cult in American history, And then the picture, the Ripper cult, like, that kind of like plays off each other, right? But then this one, this kidnapping case still haunts me, and then the thumbnail says, the mystery child. Like, it just, I don't really know what's being said there, you know what I mean? Same with, like, we had to change the title on the most recent video. The chameleon killer case is pure nightmare fuel. And then the bodies in the forest. I don't know. I'm just not really too sure I really like. I don't know. I guess it really depends on what hits or what doesn't hit, you know? It's quite random. What's up, Sonomi? All nurses are hand cream experts from hand washing. Oh, this is true. And Lil Princess, Jitter Glitter Bug, with 11 months. Welcome back. Says, hi, Joe. I'm so happy to make a live stream. I listened to you during my manicure, pedicure. Hell yeah, dude. They're getting you from both angles. Hand and foot. Drinking your muscle drink. Hell yeah. You need 10 muscle drinks a day to increase muscle capacity. And he says, there's got to be some more houses that still have candy. And explained that he wanted to get his last piece of Halloween candy ever, like a kind of ceremonial thing to end our night. Now, I thought that was kind of cool, but then Chris asked if I'd head back out with him once Matt and Richie had gone there. And I thought that was kind of cool, but then Chris asked if I'd head back out with him once Matt and Richie had gotten their rides home. And I was pretty beat, so I just wanted to chill, eat some candy, and see if there was anything scary on TV. Besides, we had school in the morning, and I didn't want to stay up too late. Chris was always a relaxed, reasonable sort of kid, but on this occasion, he did not react well to me declining. I like it when my gay male nurse Joel is a hand cream expert because he removed the gerbil for me. I work on the gerbil removal floor of a hospital. You'd be surprised. In San Francisco, I had to remove over 100 gerbils a night. But I also ran the gerbil store down the strip. Very lucrative business. Jacob, thank you for the 10. Says, when I tore my bicep, I was in the gym lifting and I felt pain in my left shoulder. My left shoulder is useless at the moment. Other than my torn bicep, I'm doing well. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That sounds rough. Thank you for the 10. To be fair, I'd watch Saturn's whole content if it was bundled into 1-hour videos and wasn't a lot of repeat stories from Let's Read channel. Yeah, or if it was bundled, because it technically is bundled into the 1-hour stuff. And yeah, it is stuff that you would have probably already heard on this channel. It's just that, I guess it's to reach newer audiences for sure. But I'm sure the current audiences probably would prefer to see something different. You tore your trap, Oxy? I'm sorry to hear that. Did you have to get surgery for that? Alright, everybody line up for their gerbil removal operation. Month and a half without chocolate, caffeine, and coffee. And soda, I don't count that. I haven't had it for years. Wait, why did you have to stop that? I remember replaying old stories again. I noticed a different voice you did. Have a replacement for a few stories? Not a replacement. I don't know. Maybe one of the videos was just a collaboration where they filled in for an episode. I have no idea. Going back quite a bit, though. I got myself with the oxyacetylene torches 2 weeks ago on my arm. It's still not healed yet. Burns are wild. Yeah, burns are pretty wild, man. They're so, like, prone to freaking scarring and shit too. Had to do physical therapy for a few months and not always stretch, and get acupuncture and a massage every month. Yeah, damn. Yeah, zam. That is annoying. Did you tear it from doing like trap shrugs or something? Surprised I haven't torn anything, to be honest, considering I'm hypermobile and can touch my nose with my foot easily. Just like an orangutan. The most flexible animal in the kingdom of the beasts. All this lotion gerbil talk makes me think of it. Put the lotion on the skin, it gets the gerbil again. Tore it doing flies. I don't know how. Oh, interesting. Flies. Oh, wait. Yeah, I guess maybe the overcompensation to that area rather than like chest. That's crazy. Damn. Chris was always relaxed, a reasonable sort of kid. But on this Cajun seasoning, Chris was always relaxed, a reasonable sort of kid. But on this occasion, he did not react well to me declining his offer. And he says, "Dude, are you for real? This is our last Halloween ever, and you're just gonna sit on your ass and watch TV?" I told him I was tired, and even Richie responds, "Yeah, dude, how much candy do you need?" But Chris insisted. He said it'd only take like 30 minutes more, but then it was my turn to insist, especially on the fact that people wouldn't appreciate us knocking on their doors after 9 o'clock. And we started off on an argument, but then Chris cut it short to say, "Fine, whatever. If you're gonna be an asshole, nothing I can do about it." And this was just really, really strange behavior for Chris. I saw it. Matt and Richie saw it too. And at the time, I figured that Chris just didn't want the night to end. But these days, I think it was a sign of what was to come, and we just couldn't see it yet. And as Chris marched off, I yelled after him, asking where he was headed, and he mentioned a street that we hadn't covered yet, maybe 15 minutes walk away. And then after Matt responds, "The hell's gotten into him?" We went inside to just revel in our candy hauls before Richie's parents showed up. Now Matt's mom followed closely behind, and then after managing to catch a little of the original Halloween movie on TV, I just went upstairs and hit the hay. Now I thought about Chris, about him knocking on those doors alone, and at first I thought that might have. Has anybody watched the Smiling Friends Season 3? And I think there's only one episode out, but I was curious if it was funny. I did PT too, since I used to walk with my right leg going outwards. I leaned, it was popping out of the socket when I was walking, which makes me have hip pain, but it would... Oh, interesting. What'd you have to do for your PT to help it? How is Saturn Soul doing compared to Let's Read in terms of channel growth versus time? That's a good point, honestly. Whenever that one video popped off, it was like... I think we got like 700 subscribers in one day on Saturn Soul. But obviously things kind of slowed down there. Do you watch Gen V, the Boys spinoff? I don't. I watched The Boys, but I heard that Gen V was kind of cringe. But there was one scene, I think, where like it was a couple and one of them had a shirt that said "Let's Read" on it, which someone sent me, so I thought that was kind of funny. I have hypermobility as well. My mom used to call me Grumby. A little old Grumby. Could have been a funnier episode of Smiling Friends. That's fair. Fucking Gumby. The green guy. Dude, I remember I used to watch Gumby as a kid. Just because it was one of those shows where I couldn't tell. I literally couldn't tell if it was a new show or an old show as like a little kid. It would come on for some reason like either in the middle of the day or like really late at night. And I couldn't tell which one was like more trippy. But it would just like be one of those shows you're like, is it from the fucking 80s? Is it new? And something about it, it's like I would sit and watch every episode, but I legitimately cannot tell you a single thing that ever happened on any of the episodes ever. And there was something just like slightly, like almost like you were stuck in like some strange liminal space while watching Gumby. Like it was both like depressing, but somehow mesmerizing at the same time. It's mind control. It kind of felt like that, like some sort of strange subliminal MK Ultra bullshit going on with Gumby. Maybe it was Cumby. You do an old woman witch voice just out of curiosity. My pretties? No. Oh, fucking bitch. Oh, fucking kill you. Fucking skin you, stupid little kid. That was actually the voice of Gumby, actually. I used to have a Gumby dog toy that I carried around and chewed on its head. Oh, fuck, yeah, same. I remember I miss Stretch Armstrong toys. Those were fucking sick. Until eventually, something would happen where they get stabbed by what? I don't know. And then they would just leak their goo. Sarah, thank you for the 2, says, okay, we need a poll. Jason, Michael, need percentages. All right, you're collecting data. Let's see. Engage with my audience. Start poll. Jason or Michael? These are people that you work with. Jason, Mike. Start poll. Cast your votes now. You throw darts at Stretch Armstrong? That's amazing. Just like pin him to a board with a knife. But it was sweet, because I swear, like, you would go to, like, other people's, like, garage sales and just, like, find versions of a toy that you have that's completely blows your mind. Because I remember coming across, like, a version of Stretch Armstrong that was, like, a ninja that I didn't know exist in somebody's, like, big pile of toys they were selling, and I was just like, holy shit. But then, yeah, you would come across, like, one version of Stretch Armstrong that would just be, like, completely seeping out whatever sauce was inside of him. Been watching Jason since I was, like, 5. He's my dad. He's my Faja. My pokey dad. I thought about Chris. About him knocking on doors alone. And at first I thought I might have missed a trick and that maybe a couple of houses had been there. Here. Oops. Wait, what? At first I thought I might have missed one and that maybe a couple of houses had been like... That's weird. Did you have a prized possession toy as a kid? What is it? Oh, fuck. Prized possession toy. Oh, man. I mean, the one that comes to mind when I was like 3 was my Barney doll. I used to fucking love Barney. But that was a short-lived thing, you know, sitting there singing I Love You. It's not really cash money after a while. But, if you know me well enough to make me a mod, you would know I should never be a mod. Okay, yeah, we'll hold off on that. I had a dingle-ling. We all been collecting dingle-lings all night. Oh yeah, shit. I did have a bunch of fucking Power Ranger bullshit. I had so much crap. Fuck, man, but I feel like they always went in phases. Like you were into one thing one year, and then like 6 weeks later you're like, I've moved on. Sorry. Okay. I thought about Chris, about him knocking on those doors alone. And first I thought that I might have missed a place, that maybe a couple of houses had been like, here, take the rest of this candy, I don't want my kids rotting their teeth. And I could see him the next morning in school saying something like, dude, you missed out big time. But the next day, I woke up to a text message Chris had just sent after midnight, and all it said was, hello, meat pliers. I'm thinking, what the hell? Hello, meat pliers? And I texted back saying, lol, what the hell does that mean? And since we should have both been getting up for school around that time, I figured that it wouldn't be long before I got a reply. But Chris never texted back. I caught up with Matt and Richie over lunch and asked if either had spoken to Chris that morning, and neither of them had heard from him, so I just brought up the weird message. But Matt and Richie figured it was Chris's idea of some joke or something. And I had to wait until I was out of school to call him, and after getting a voicemail a few times, Chris's mom answered the phone to tell me that he was sick. And my first thought was something like, stupid idiot ate so much candy that he made himself sick. And I texted Richie and Matt to let them know. And we figured that we'd see him the coming Monday in school once his blood sugar had lowered from critical to just warning. But he didn't show up then either. I tried giving him another call, but his phone was off, and then when I tried Chris at home, his mom told me he was still sick and she'd get him to give me a call when he was able. Now, I might have been 12, but I wasn't completely stupid. I still believe Chris was sick in some way, but I also had the feeling that there was something his mom wasn't telling me, and there was more to it than just some illness. I brought up my suspicions with Matt and Richie at school, and by that point, they were also starting to think that something was going on. We hadn't heard from Chris all weekend, and we still hadn't spoke to him by Tuesday, so I figured that whatever was going on at home, it wasn't something that he wanted to talk about. And the best thing we could do was just give him his space and wait until the time came when he needed us, like really needed us, to be his friend. And Wednesday was the only day that I didn't call or text Chris, only because of what Matt said about giving him some space, but it still sucked. I felt like I was almost losing a friend, so the next day, Thursday? Question mark? Wow, how dare you question mark me? Just kidding. My oldest was obsessed with the third weird Power Rangers saga, dinosaurs or something. I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. What were the different variations? I guess they did that from season to season, right? Some sort of theme. Jacob with the 10 says, besides me having a torn bicep, I do have some good news to share. My 5-year-old son became the student boy president of his elementary school. I'm very proud of him. He's following my footsteps. Hell yeah. Jacob, aren't you president of your town? Like sheriff president? I feel like I remember you saying that you were like king of sheriffs. The Duchess of North Carolina. I don't consider a turkey dinner to be a true turkey dinner unless there's cranberry sauce. Okay. I felt like I was losing a friend, so that next day, Thursday, I rode over to Chris's place on my bike and called his cell from outside where I could see his bedroom. I figured that it'd just be all like other times, that it'd either ring out or it'd be switched off. But for the first time in days, Chris actually picked up the phone. I waited for him to say hello or what do you want or something like that, but he didn't say a thing. He just sort of stayed quiet till I asked, Chris? Are you there? He still didn't say anything, but I could hear him breathing, and he did the same thing when I asked if he was okay. He didn't say a damned word, he just sort of listened to me, and then he hung up. In those first few moments after he hung up, I was kind of heartbroken. I didn't realize it at the time, but something much larger and much more sinister was going on. But in the moment, all I could think was that he just sort of didn't want to be friends with me anymore. And I figured that I'd screwed up one of my best childhood friendships because I wanted to eat candy and watch movies, and it had me feeling like some big bag of candy crap. Made me feel like candy corn. What's up, Alyssa? How's it going? How's it gooning? It's funny, Joe, my son, a year older than you, was a Super Power Ranger Ninja Turtle obsessed, and then a son a year younger was Barney obsessed. Let's go, dude. We were all brainwashed into the same shit. You know, the other day, well, not the other day, but actually yesterday, I was kind of thinking, I was like, I wonder if I even have like a single original honest thought in my head. Do you guys ever like take a second to like think that about yourself? If like anything in your head wasn't like dictated to you from your family, your friends, your culture, and now in the future, like what pops up on YouTube, what pops up on other social media, what pops up on just normal TV news, what, like, do you ever wonder if anything you think is even remotely real? What's more discovering or uncovering thoughts than creating them? I don't know, dude. My only original thought is when I have an inch and scratch my butt specifically. Exactly, it's the only freedom we have anymore, is digging in our assholes. Joe, you know what else we are brainwashed to believe? The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Now that they may be true, but there's quite literally the only thought most people have towards that. Yeah, there's no other consideration of the mitochondria beyond its powerhouse abilities. What's up, Lucy? Why do you think your thoughts aren't real? I just wonder to what extent any of them aren't just like pre-selected for me, you know what I mean? Like, how many times do you watch like the news and you just like think a thing, and then somebody comes up to you and you ask what you think about said thing, and then you sort of are just essentially like parroting what's been said, And you're like, wait, did I even actually come to that conclusion? Do I even know that's reality? Is any of it? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then to what extent can you extrapolate that line of like uncertainty to other things as well? Could you do the Old Bill voice and scare me to death? Old Bill? Which one's Old Bill? That's why it's good to surround yourself with people you want to emulate. Well, that's a good point too, is like maybe you don't even necessarily need complete independent thought or action. You just need to find people that are someone you look up to and then try to be as they are, you know? Just model your existence after something, which is interesting to think. That's all kind of what human existence is just sort of meshing with your external influences. Virtue ethics? I don't know. I have no idea. I never even heard of that term. I often reflect and sometimes think the world is a mental institution, then I remember I am not my thoughts. It is very conflicting. I mean, we are our thoughts, in the fact that, in the sense of that repetitious nature eventually becomes probably our actions. But yeah, it seems like a lot of our thoughts, especially the more darker ones, are just sort of things that are just sort of like in the flash pot of reality. It just like pops up out of nowhere and is a thing for a little bit in your head, and it doesn't necessarily have a direct reflection on who you are, or who you're perceived as, or even your self-perception, if there really is anything such as self. But, I don't know. It's just sort of like a passing wind, or like when you're driving on the highway, it's a tree, as I heard someone describe it before. You don't really think of that tree, but it's still something that passed in front of your eyes briefly. You didn't really have any control over it. When I was a kid, I used to climb trees and say this has never been touched by man, and I am the first to do it. And it was true. No other monkey had been up there. And then there was a banana. You don't yodel yourself after anyone. You are your own clay. It takes the ideas and molds yourself. True. Your thoughts and you are different. They impact each other, but they are not interchangeable. What is you? So what about the poll? How many thoughts are leaders or followers? I don't know. You guys didn't even ask me who Michael or Jason was. You just started clicking. Didn't even clarify. You just immediately had Michael and Jason logged into your brains and started voting, but either way, they're coming to get you. What do I make of the name Barbara? Barbarian Barbara? It definitely makes me think of like an older mother type, you know what I mean? And if someone's like kid was named Barbara in the modern sense, oh man, it wouldn't be the worst thing ever. But I feel like sometimes your name, like even just your name, is like really important. Imagine just being called Barbara every day, and you were born in the year 2003, which would make you how old? 21 or something? 22? Imagine being a 22-year-old right now named Barbara. You probably wouldn't be too... I don't know, what kind of person do you think a 22-year-old Barbara would be like right now? Funniest nightmare I had, Jason, it says weirdly fine. Oh, that's fine. I dated a Mike and a Jason, and both nightmares. They just go by Barbie, probably. Oh, that's a good point, Matt. You can kind of like change your name to a childlike whimsy nickname, and suddenly it's much easier to cope with reality. That's probably why we come up with those weird nicknames. Richard, and aka Big Dick. Barbie with a septum ring. I figured I'd screwed up one of my best childhood friendships because I wanted to eat candy and watch movies, and it had me feeling like a big bag of crap. I didn't know what else to do, so I just tried calling Chris again. But when I felt a lump forming in my throat, I hit call N because I didn't want to sound like some sissy while I was talking to him. But then right as I looked up at his window one last time, I saw the curtain start to kind of twitch. Someone took hold of one of the curtain, and then after peeling it back, I saw Chris looking out from the dark of his bedroom. Only he didn't actually look like Chris anymore. Even from down his driveway, I could see how pale and gaunt he looked, and it was like his first time seeing the world outside. He looked all around at first, like he was almost scanning for something, and then these big, blank eyes locked on me. I raised a hand, intending to wave it, but I remember stopping short and just sort of holding my hand up to see if he'd react, and he didn't. He just stared at me like he wasn't even blinking up there, and then he disappeared behind that curtain again. I remember just sitting there on my bike seat, sort of staring up at Chris's window in a kind of daze. In the space of just a couple of minutes, I went from being worried to heartbroken to just straight up scared. Whatever was happening to Chris, it was serious, and I could tell that much from the way he looked. And you can call it intrusive if you want, but I'd be damned if I didn't try and find out what it was. I tried everything I could think of. I tried calling him a bunch more, I tried talking to his mom, and I even got my own mom to call her, thinking that maybe she might tell another grown-up what was really going on. But all Chris's mom would say was some variation on, he's sick, he's getting bed rest, and he'll be out of school until he's well again. And at the time I thought that my mom might be in on it too, but by that I mean that Chris's mom had told her the truth and that she was hiding the truth from me for some reason. And I guess it was at an age when I was acutely aware that grown-ups didn't tell kids everything, and sometimes it was just a version of the truth and not the whole truth, if that makes sense. And so I got fixated on that till I asked my mom, and it wasn't until she actually got mad at me that I started to believe her. And it was only then that I brought up Chris's hello meat pliers. I wasn't ready for that. Hey, Sarah with another 2 says, should we do a poll every stream? Maybe be fun? Maybe, yeah, sure. Absolutely. And Ember Blue, welcome to the Buttersock cult. You now have access to bonus content. Should you buy an air fryer? Lucy, I would say you should buy an air fryer, honestly. It's basically a mix, it's like if you want to use an oven, but you want to have it available as fast as like a microwave, finishes stuff, but you don't want to microwave stuff because you don't want to nuke it, and microwaves kind of suck. It's basically like a happy middle ground. Hey Queen, what's up? What's poppin'? But yeah, air fryers work, and they're awesome. And it's just nice because you can just like log on to Google and be like, how long air fry this? Me make mozzarella stick, how long? And it's like, based on your make and model, you're gonna want to put it at 450 degrees for 11 minutes. Halfway through, take them out and carefully flip. Yo, PK. PK fire! How long is this poll? It's gonna be going all night. We're dead stuck at 50-50 for 11 minutes. What do you think of general name passing like Quandel the Fourth? Quandel Dingle the Fourth? Usually those people are the only ones that get stuck with old names. I mean, I guess at the end of the day they are what they are. Everybody's got some weird name now, like fucking Leaf or Kai or Rorschach. Instant pot explosions are unavoidable. Or Nico. Yeah. Or Squeaky. Barack Obama, welcome to the Buttersock cult. Obama, you now have access to bonus content. Would you like some organic bananas or a bag of gerbils? It's what the nurse gives you as you leave the hospital. What would you like to stick up your butt today, sir? I think we should all just have UUIDs as names. My name is 9. Yeah, we should all just have our social securities. Soda! Minnesota! Damn. I genuinely kind of miss Joe Biden. Mainly just because I kind of like missed his like sort of dementia words of just like slurring things and like falling over on a bike and pooping his pants in front of the mayor. I don't know. Or just like sniffing people. Like the sniffing shit was probably my favorite thing ever. The fact that everybody in every senator's kids just had to can you imagine being a senator and you just have to like warn them when you go up like, okay, we're about to sign a really important bill with the President of the United States. He might reach his hands behind you like a fucking ghoul and give you a deep whiff. Your job is to not fuck this up for me. What's up, Johnny Depp? The chances of repeating UUIDs is negligible. Well, we could also do ordered UUIDs with a time component at the start of it. Matt, you should be a sci-fi writer, man. You could reshape... Honestly, I think that's where society actually starts, if you really think about it. Like, if you genuinely want to, like, manipulate society to what you want to be, write sci-fi, because at some point, some sort of spiritual genie being is going to speak through you. Oh, you are a sci-fi writer. Well, perfect. I see. A genie told me that shit. And then, eventually, some fucking weird freak like Peter Thiel, who works on behalf of like the intelligence agencies and all the weird occult people, are going to like read your book, and then they're going to shape society based off of your book. Right? You see the pipeline of how we shape reality. You just got to write it down first. So I think you're on the right track. Currently writing a story about artificial intelligence-controlled space probe. Interesting, like AI arguing with itself to like figure out like a detrimental problem, which could be kind of interesting, especially if it's like really dry. How do you feel about Sora? Bro, the Sora shit is getting me. Like, I saw this one video. It was a goddamn raccoon on like from the perspective of a Ring camera, right, on someone's porch. And then the raccoon was stealing candy or some shit from a dish. And then like a Halloween decoration turned on like, and then the fucking raccoon was like, oh my god, oh, it was a possum, yeah. And to me, I thought that was fucking real. I thought that was real life. And I was like, that's the greatest shit I'd ever seen. And then the second that it was not real, it was like my entire world was like collapsing in on itself, and I was Neo waking up outside of the Matrix. And it made me really sad that that didn't happen to a little possum thing. But that being said, something even worse than that, and I've said this before, is that I hope and pray to God that AI doesn't get so good that it actually replaces actors. Because I don't think, when it comes to the worship and love and adoration of celebrity, I don't think the elites nor the people that create entertainment should permit the replacement of that celebrity worship to that of AI actresses or actors. The reason being is that the second a human's brain realizes that what they're looking at is not real, but they had some sort of like alchemical, evolutionary sort of like attraction to said person, it's like it brings out a certain degree of like frustrating rage that they will, even if just for a flashpoint moment, forever associate with your product. Initially, they wanted to fuck your model. They wanted to have sex with your actor. They wanted to procreate and bring on the next generation with this person that was selling them fucking car insurance. And now, that person didn't even fucking exist. Who can they fantasize about fucking now? And as soon as that veil, you know, as soon as the wool is pulled away from their eyes, it's a dangerous game you're playing, I think. And that's on piss. That's on pee. Mega with the 10 says, I went down a whole rabbit hole listening to the 60-minute true crime, started gurgling as I was unfamiliar with the case. It wasn't real. It was AI slop. Tail, they fucking got me. I know, isn't it? Isn't it weird when you find out something is completely falsified? It hurts. It hurts deep inside, and I just don't think that you can have that occurring to the larger populace too much, because I think it's going to create some sort of like shitstorm where everyone's just going to be so fucking horny out of nowhere that they just take over the government. AI is replacing surgeons. Now that's fine. That should be okay. It was only then that I brought up Chris's hello meat pliers messages. How I was worried that he wasn't just sick and that something worse was happening. Mom gave Chris's family another call, and this was maybe a week after the first, so I figured that she might get an update of some kind. Well, she did get an update. And the update was that Chris and his family were leaving town. And when she told me, she said that there was a chance that Chris had stopped talking to us, as in me, Richie, and Matt, because he was upset about the move. She said that people handle stuff like that in weird ways sometimes, and that sometimes people choose to ignore their emotions instead of confronting them. I asked why Chris's mom would lie like that and say that he was sick, and she told me that parents protect their kids by any means necessary sometimes, and that a little white lie sometimes spares a whole lot of heartache. But it wasn't just a little white lie. I'd seen his face. So whatever was going on with Chris, I knew that it was serious. Mom said that I'd come to accept it as time. Nico with the 5 says, love the Sora of Michael Jackson arguing with Hitler. Thought it was really funny but scary as well, but this will be the most advanced it'll get, to be honest. Do you think so? Why is that? Why do you think that that is the peak of the advancement? Because honestly, I've thought that too. I thought maybe AI would hit a wall. Well, I don't know if I thought that, but maybe somebody implanted that thought into me. Maybe you did just right now, and it brought up something subconscious, but I don't know. There's like a vibe where I'm just like, it's done. You're eating dates, dude. Dates are so good. Like if ever I want to like gain weight, there's something about dates that just like guarantee weight gain in regards to like lifting weights and stuff. What would be your price to potentially narrate a story I'm writing? I'll be in the make for a while, but I was wondering if you would do those sorts of things. I guess it really just depends on the context. Like as just like a full on like commission type sort of thing, I can't really say that I would. I mean, maybe if it's like good enough and, you know, maybe one of my editors can read it over or something, you can email it, and it would fare well for like bonus content or something. I almost feel like it needs to like serve another purpose for me to do a commission of sorts like that. Not to be disrespectful, it's just that sort of vibe. What's your opinion on using AI to create pictures with dead relatives? I've heard mixed opinions. I don't think people should do that, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I think you could get really obsessive, you know what I'm saying? Just over and over again. Like even just the weird thing I saw like related to like some school shooting, and they brought back a kid who died at the school shooting to do an AI interview with said kid. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? It's like, that's fucking weird as shit, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's all just very strange, and especially as we get to the point where AI can, you know, quote unquote replicate somebody's personality, either through like brain scans or whatever other fashion we're able to sort of like map out consciousness. You can only imagine what that's going to be like. And then if you can imagine it, you know, you can almost guarantee that it will eventually happen. Because it's not a real representation of the person, it's all just pattern matching. Yeah, I guess it just comes down to like the real person's reaction to said thing, you know. Who made the current animation? That's also Robin. He's a really talented guy. He can do whatever he wants. Funny that we're on the topic. I'm shopping for a jacket online right now. One of the reviews was visibly AI, like the most AI ever. Yeah, that's annoying too, is that they can just, and who knows how long they've been using like computer modeling or whatever they call it, AI basically, to just like flood the internet with the dead internet theory concepts. Like there quite literally could be a large portion of individuals that you've been convinced believe a certain BS, narrative politically or whatever it might be, socially, that just doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like there's just that majority that you think you're arguing with could just not be real, which should, lend credence to the fact that maybe your opinion, though sometimes you're afraid to express it because you think it goes against the social norms, should be held in an even stronger degree because there's people out there that are trying to manipulate you away from your said individualized opinion through the use of not even real people. So fuck them. Believe whatever you want to believe. I created one with my brother who passed away because he didn't see me graduate, but I can see how it can be harmful. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sorry to hear that. It's just, I feel like you have to kind of like set it aside, sadly, and just kind of like live the human experience the way everybody else has. Have you ever played an AI simulacrum of a deceased loved one in an audio drama? I don't recall, honestly. Perhaps, maybe soon. My dogs also love my homemade sweet potato fries to the point they followed me all day for more. That's funny. Dogs are so cool, bro. I work on hypotheticals. I believe things are possible, such as dead internet theory, so it's just taking things with a grain of salt. Yeah, exactly. Not taking the internet too seriously. But it is strange, though, because I feel like we've arrived at this position where everybody takes the fucking internet so seriously. That's why I stopped doing Twitter, because I'm just like, every ounce of, like, you'll see people get pulled up to a fucking congressional hearing for something they said on Twitter, but for some reason if they like say it in a different setting, it's just like doesn't carry as much weight for, I don't know, it's all just very odd. What's the last opinion you held that changed your mind on? Last opinion you held that you changed your mind on? Let's think. I don't know. I guess just that, like, the entirety of the, that there's really no hope for the government, that most of it's probably just, like, blackmail, by the same sort of, like, apparatus that, like, Epstein existed in. I think the majority of, like, at least the United States government is, like, on some form of, like, payroll or, like, blackmail. And, kind of have to just come to terms with that. When I originally started writing or drawing, I never saw someone tell me how I learned to get better, but it was mine. Yeah, exactly. There's an architecture concept that I use in my stories called neuromorphic computing, and that has its own processor mimic the structure of the human brain, but even then, just loading a program onto it wouldn't really do much. A true sentient AI would need to be grown, if it's possible, perhaps over a span of many decades. Again, that's how it works in my stories. And I guess the only thing you could really do there is like make clones or some shit and just let it sort of like the natural processes occur, because maybe it's like computationally impossible to like simulate that within a computer, unless you can also simulate, mathematically what it means to develop the brain. Just want the government to open back up. My fiance isn't fucking working for free. Oh, damn. I believe in my thoughts and actions. Don't care what people think of me, and my sense of humor. Life needs to be appreciated. I laugh at really stupid things. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I mean, who cares what a bunch of losers on the internet ever say about anything, honestly? Because they'll just forever still be that exact thing as long as they have no power over you. And it's honestly just like interacting with demons. Like, as long as you don't give the demons power, they have none, right? How's Pradeep doing? He's good. He's sitting on the computer chair behind me. He wants to game. Do I like Five Nights at Freddy's? I do. I mean, conceptually, I really do like Five Nights at Freddy's. I think it sort of like really made popular the concept of like implementing very strong horror concepts into like child games, and obviously you can market anything to like kids. So I find that kind of interesting, at least from a capitalistic standpoint, I suppose, but also just like storytelling wise. And you get all those like sort of things that have branched out from trying to copy Five Nights at Freddy's style. Like, what's that one game more recently that's like You have like the arms that extend out, and that kind of has like a Five Nights at Freddy's style storyline. I'm late to the stream because I found the worst person I think I've ever seen in my life on Blue Sky. I spent over an hour reading their feed, just obsessing over there. Do I talk in my sleep? I do, yeah. Poopy Playtime, that's right. Five Nights at Freddy's are actually genius good games in my opinion. People meme on them, but they're actually like legitimately fun games. Yeah, I don't even know. I think I tried it and just like failed immediately and was like, I don't understand how this works. Mom said that I'd come to accept it as time moved on, but it didn't, and I never have. I think something happened to Chris that night that he went off trick-or-treating on his own, and I think it was so bad that he and his family either chose to leave town or just straight up had to. I tried looking him up on Facebook a while back, but he doesn't seem to have any kind of social media, and I figured enough time might have passed that he'd be willing to talk about it, but even if he is, I couldn't find him anywhere. Sometimes I think about that weird text message he sent too, and in my darkest moments, I think he wrote, "Hello, meat pliers," because he was using predictive text in a very terrified frenzy. And what he'd really meant to text was, "Help me, please." Whoa. Did anybody just get chills? Hello, Markiplier. FAS, thank you for the 3, appreciate you. What's up, Pats Nation? How we doing? How's the Pats looking? Absolutely suck at them. They're one of the few horror series I just watch instead of play, but Sister Location especially is like really, really good game. Interesting. Yeah, I really don't. I know some of the lore, but I saw the movie, but I know obviously video game movies are always way different. My voice is real. Oh yeah. The realest of the squeal. Okay, time for the next story here. Secret of the Mimic. The Mimic. I feel like I had some lip balm here somewhere. I can't see shit. I can't see shit in Chicago. Oh, there it is. There she blows. My lips are gonna be nice and lubricated for this next story. Don't you worry, everybody. What's up, Janie? How we doing? Janie's got a gun. Let's come by and say hello, because obviously I was listening to your stories before bed. No worries. Good to see you. Happy early birthday. What flavor is it? I don't think it has a flavor. It's just kind of a generalized goop. Let's see what it smells like. It smells a little bit like Play-Doh. What do I think about Penn State firing James Franklin? Well, you know, they lost their big game, their one that mattered the most, right? It was Oregon. And then after that, they embarrassed themselves with like literally a next level loss against like a rebuilding 0-4 UCLA. And then I think at that point people were just kind of like so embarrassed, that I don't know, I think they were just like, well, this next one against Northwestern or whatever they played would be all right. But then they lost that, and I think their starting quarterback is out, and I don't know. I think they need to restructure. I genuinely think that they just need a good restructuring, and it sounds like the Franklin guy is getting paid like crazy, crazy dollars. But whatever. Fuck it, dude. Have this just increased tuition. No, just kidding. People thought the Penn State quarterback was the first overall pick this year. Fuck if I know why. I mean, what did they do before? They like had a like mediocre run in the playoffs the year before, their backup quarterback went to fucking Missouri and almost beat Alabama, right? So I don't know what the fuck they expect. I don't know, man. Everybody, the preseason rankings has to be the most like skewed bullshit of all times. Like, I don't even know what data they use to determine any of that shit. Me saying the F word. Frick. What the flippin' frick? What the fricky juice? Joel, do a tour. Come to St. Paul, Minnesota, please. Alright, that's going to be first on the tour dates. St. Paul, Minnesota. Home of the strip mall. A lot of teams have almost beat Bama. Yeah, I know. But I don't think a lot of people expected Missouri to kind of get where they got to, honestly. You love brownies? Hell yeah, dude. Brownies rock. One of the most significant events of my whole childhood happened on Halloween. So a few friends and I were out trick-or-treating, and we actually went pretty much to every neighborhood within walking distance. And then on the way back, we found ourselves wandering past a place of almost legendary status. And for as long as we'd been aware, there was this old house in the neighborhood over from us. One close to the other homes, but also disconnected by large, overgrown front yards and a fairly long driveway, too. Now, we never saw anyone home, and we never saw any cars in the front yard, and we never saw anyone either coming or going. We were pretty sure it was abandoned in some capacity, that someone owned it but never visited. But what we were 100% certain of is that the place was haunted. If you saw the place at 13, you'd probably think it was haunted too. Heck, see the place at 30 and you probably still think that that place has a resident ghost or two. It looked like a haunted house. Old, gothic, and all that kind of stuff, like the kind of place the Addams family would actually live. And so naturally, a bunch of over-imaginative 13-year-olds were convinced that there were long-dead spirits wandering the hallways, jerking off and shitting everywhere with their ectoplasm shit and poop. If you ever want to make people laugh, just say the word shit or poop. It'll make them say lol in chat. Okay. Alright, let's get locked in, guys. Guys, these are true scary stories. I need everyone in here to just, take something seriously for once in your fucking lives. Come on! Come on! Boom, bucklet! Air fryer I wanted to buy, sold out. Don't worry. China will make more, I promise. How was Iowa State ranked, bro? They lost to struggling Colorado team, bro. I don't fucking know anymore, man. I don't know nothing about nothing. Now that I think of it, maybe it was the lemonade. This feels very specific information about something personal. Sir. You're saluting. Sir! Sir, yes, sir. This seems kind of personal, sir. Maybe I shouldn't be here. It's alright, Private. Just close your eyes and ears. Fuck my Chungus Baka life. I live in a haunted house. It looked like a haunted house. All old and gothic and stuff. Like the kind of place the Addams family would live. And so naturally, a bunch of over-imaginative 13-year-olds were convinced there were long-dead spirits wandering the halls. And as we walked past, we all went a little quiet, just kind of checking the place out before our buddy Charlie slowed down to a stop. And this big grin came over his face, I remember. And then he says, "How much candy are you going to give me if I knock on that door?" Now I'm thinking, dude, there's no way you're about to knock on that door, but Charlie bet his entire bag of candy that he would. And suddenly, none of us would take his bet, as he was very clearly serious about trick-or-treating right on that haunted house. What the hell? Trick-or-treating on the haunted house? Maybe ding-dong ditching? I should say dingle-dong ditching. Dingle-dong ditching. These kids were up all night dingle-dong ditching. What's the plural form of Chungus? Chungai. Fuck all of our Chungai Baka lives. What was dingle-dong ditching? I ditched my dingle-dong. How am I doing? What's up, Andre? Doing good. Honestly, we're having the best night. Guys, this is the best night we've ever had together. You guys are all the schizophrenic voices in my head, and I'm just blazing through work. Now we're all thinking, dude, there's no way you're about to knock on that door. But Charlie bet his entire bag of candy that he would, and suddenly none of us would take his bet because he was clearly very serious about dingle-dong ditching this haunted house. Now, I still had my doubts, and when I bet him a handful of candy he wouldn't do it, our two other friends did the same. And then once the bets were in, off goes Charlie, bold as brass down that driveway. We carried on watching him walk up the driveway, pretty skeptical and doubtful, and then when he got to the door, Charlie looked back at us. He was trying to be brave and not show any fear, but even from all the way down the driveway we could see how nervous he was. Now I remember hearing, "I told you you wouldn't do it." But then I guess Charlie did too, because right after it got said, Charlie raises his fist and knocks on that door. And one of us actually gasped, I remember. And I remember not giving a crap about candy at that point because Charlie just hammered on the door of some haunted house. And we all watched. We all watched in silence. What am I doing? What are you doing, stepbrother? Huh. Weird. Are we sure it's haunted? I think they scientifically verified that that was riddled with ghosts. Sussy Buka. Guys, the only relationships you're supposed to have in your entire life are ones with people on the internet. You know this. You know it's the only safe and effective manner. And yeah, the only way to confirm something is haunted is just to say it's haunted. If someone says it's haunted, what else is there to say? I remember I used to fix people's sinks. And they would say like, "Why the fuck is it gurgling down there?" I'm like, "It's probably haunted. Probably has a fucking ghost in there." And when you turn on that little trap in the bottom that, turns on the grinder, that's how you kill all the ghosts for a little bit. They come back. Okay. We all watched in silence as he backed up away from the door, turning his body as if he. And we all watched in silence as he backed away from the door, turning his body as if he was about to run. But not only did the door not open, but nothing moved and nothing stirred. The house stayed dark and incredibly quiet, and the longer it did, the more Charlie's confidence started to build. He stopped, and instead of walking back down the driveway towards us, we walked right back to the front door of the house and knocked for a second time. We or he? He stopped instead of walking. Okay. Him knocked on the door. Teresa Bynum, welcome to the Buttersalt Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you. You got the Sussy Baka air fryer. Let's go, dude. We're about to make so many goddamn chicky nuggies. An endless supply. Honestly, it should, you know how like there's some like dog dishes that just have or cat dishes that have like food loaded on the top, and then it's just set on a timer to release like food for the animal. That's what they should do for like air fryers and chicken nuggets. Just have like a big fucking like magazine loaded with these like pre-made piles of deep fried nug, and then every like 20 minutes it just like preheats it to 400 and throws a couple in there for you, just so you don't get sick, you know. Did you see Fred Warner injury? It was gruesome. I did not. Fred Warner injury. Damn. 49ers. Let's see, did his shit get bent backwards? It's all scripted. Even when people's legs get ripped off. I'm 24 years old. I'm black, but my skin is brown skin, dark, black, curly brown hair. I'm single, no girlfriend. At least I have a job, just got on my own business. Nice. Dislocated scalp. Who did that? He dislocated and broke his ankle. Fuck, that sucks. Who did the 49ers play? I didn't even look. We stopped, and instead of walking back down the driveway towards us... Wait, he stopped. Fuck! He stopped, and instead of walking back down the driveway towards us, he walked right back to the front door of the house and knocked for a second time. He did it even louder that time and with a kind of playful rhythm, too. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And we're laughing among ourselves by that point, mainly at just how brazen Charlie was being. And then once he heard and saw us laughing, that only spurred him on more. And when he knocked a third time and started yelling out, "Hello? Anyone home?" We thought it was hilarious as kids. I guess it was all that tension being relieved, realizing that our fears about that place had been completely unfounded. Charlie started yelling about how if a ghost didn't appear to give him some candy, he was going to... Okay. Can you break up with a friend? Yeah, it's called ghosting them and sending the mafia to find them. Let's read's name is Joy. I feel like I know or did something I shouldn't, like I shouldn't. You have to forget. You have to forget. Don't tell anyone my true identity. It's like finding out about rumpled foreskin. Charlie started yelling about how if a ghost didn't appear to give him a treat, he was about to give them a trick they'd regret. And then he yelled that he was going to come back with holy water and sprinkle it all over the place so the goats couldn't... The goats. Fucking shit. Leoge? Then he yelled that he was going to come back with holy water and sprinkle it all over the place so the ghosts couldn't live there anymore. And we were just laughing our butts off by the time he got to that part, and one of us says, "All right, brother, you won. Come get your candy, let's get going." But Charlie wasn't done. He then started dancing on the porch, singing the Ghostbusters theme like, "I ain't afraid of no ghosts." And then we were about falling over laughing. And then just as I looked up, sides hurting from laughing so hard, I saw the door behind Charlie suddenly open. And all three of us stopped laughing as Charlie spun around, just in time for this shadowy figure to come lunging towards us and snatch him up. Charlie screamed, but it was no good. This person dragged him back into the house before slamming the door closed, and then there was silence again. The moment that door slammed, the three of us went running down the driveway while yelling Charlie's name. I guess it was pure instinct, something propelling us to try and help our friend, but that front door was closed and locked, and since busting into the house some other way seemed insane, we knew the only best thing to do was to go get help. And as I said, the house was like this oddity in the neighborhood, part of it, but not part of it. Whoops. Still live for an hour? Yeah, I'll be around. I think we got another probably hour or two in us here. At least an hour and a half. I dumped friends who weren't really friends. Sucks to be there for people who disappear when you need a friend. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of pick up when someone is a friend. I mean, obviously you don't want to judge them too wildly hard or have some sort of excessive stipulations for somebody to, like, carry your baggage or whatever, but at the same time, it's pretty clear when someone is or is not a true friend. Love your words. Before bed, I want to start to do this. How do I find stories? Well, it's kind of tough because initially you kind of have to start on like Reddit and like other forums and like build your way to like an audience who can email you stuff, you know, more frequently or whatever. And quit talking like you're 15. I don't even know what you're talking about. No, you. I'm gonna sell real photos. Oh my god, Andrew. Be nice. Hi, Mr. Reed. My son, Yusuf Mazen, just started his first year at school. He loves learning English and really enjoys listening to you. Could you please share a few motivating words for him? Thanks. Yusuf, hit the gym. Everything else will fall into place after, I promise. God bless. Do your editors make the stories more readable, or do they all naturally have that flow? The editors definitely help to add a degree of flowability to it. It's not always gonna be perfect, but it definitely helps quite a bit. The moment I realize I eat healthier than my dad, he's the one who always tells me to eat healthy. You better eat more pizza. I gotta send my story from early 20s when I saw in the woods. Hell yeah, dude. Let's read submissions at gmail.com. It's about 11 where you're at, right? Do you have a day job that you'll be going to early tomorrow? It is 12 or 15 past midnight, I believe. And now 10 past midnight, 8 past midnight. No, this is my job. I'm a YouTuber. Through and through, full-time / podcaster. And this is where the magic happens. Do any of your mods ever feel tempted to behave like a Reddit moderator? I think it happens from time to time. Where were your editors when Tales of Durst was being curated? I mean, technically Durst was, I guess, sometimes they, compile stuff that's part of a particular, theme, which is great. And I would say the story itself was edited fine. It's just you kind of have to eventually at that point let people know this is, because there was only out of the 90% of the story was just build up about this Fred Durst kid, and then only one part where the teacher passed out and died. Everybody's banned. Banned. It is kind of insane, Reddit and banned just go hand in hand, honestly. There's really no way to exist on, honestly, if you really think about it, what in the past 10 years during the whole Trump era, it was everybody was banned. I don't even know how anybody was able to use any of those websites. It's you got banned from Twitter, you got banned from fucking Reddit, you got banned on YouTube, you got banned on Twitch. I mean, some of those websites are still fucking ban heavy with a bunch of idiots, running shit, but it's just how are you supposed to host a website with that many eclectic collection of souls and then not allow said souls to do their bullshit? The Durst story did go on and on. I don't even know if I even know what the true ending is. You can just make it up in your mind. As I said, the house was like this oddity in the neighborhood. Part of it, but not part of it. So there were a couple of houses nearby we could run to. And we ran to the door of one, just banging on it until some angry-looking adult opened it up, and then we all started yelling together in this chaotic explosion of begging and pleading. And I guess all the guy needed to see were the looks on our faces to know that we weren't just a bunch of trick-or-treaters anymore. I remember he ran inside, called the cops, told us to all shut up, and then asked one of us to explain in a few words what had just happened before he relayed all that information to the cops. We were still freaking out, begging them to hurry, but the guy kept telling us to shut up so he could hear the dispatcher. And we then waited in the guy's front yard with him until we heard the sirens, and then we ran over to the haunted house and to where the cops pulled up and then begged them to go help Charlie. The cops ran up to the driveway, told us to stay back, and then banged on the door while we watched. I remember my buddy saying, "Kick the door open, he's in there, kick the door open." But obviously the cops wouldn't do that right away. We thought we were going to have to wait minutes, and those were minutes that we didn't think Charlie had, so we started freaking out all over again, thinking no one was taking us seriously. We all joined in, yelling at the cops to get in there and rescue our friend, but all they did was bang on the door again, saying, "Police, open up." It was agonizing. thinking Charlie was going through God knows what, and the cops are just knocking on the door like they're collecting for goodwill. But then, right after they'd knocked that last time, the door swung open again, and out stepped a man with Charlie at his side. We weren't close enough to hear what was said to the cops, but we could see Charlie just standing there, either nodding or shaking his head every time the cops directed a question to him. And that just kept going on for a minute or two as we stayed quiet, expecting the guy to get arrested at any moment. But he didn't. The cops didn't even touch their cuffs, and then another minute or two of talking, the guy walked back inside, what was by then a well-lit hallway, and shut the door again. The cops walked Charlie up the driveway towards us, and we were still in this sort of stunned silence, not able to comprehend how that grabber hadn't been arrested. But as then... The grabber. Is Durst's song a real thing? No, it's like based on Fred Durst, D-U-R-S-T. Oh shit, Andrew Batts with the 5s. This makes 2,000 points earned from just doing super chats on Let's Read. A 1.2 points per dollar. It was worth every dime. Love you and your channel. Thank you, bro. Thank you for the pointers. Thank you for the support. Nelly or 50 Cent? I think I was much more of a 50 Cent fan, but there were some good Nelly songs back in the day. AI is the worst for censorship in my opinion. My comments on YouTube get blocked all the time. I could tell. I could just be someone... I don't like Ritz crackers or something. I'm about to get some ice cream, listening to the live spooky reading, smooth jazz stream in the background. This is the best night of my life. That does sound perfect. Smooth juice. Okay. Guys, thanks for being here. Trump blocked you? Yeah, what did you say, Justin? What did you say? You told him to sell all of his crypto and make a bunch of money. Literally, I've been out in YouTube comment timeout a couple of times. Yeah, I wonder it's just like automated or what. But then as they got close, one of the cops was saying something like, "Lucky that gentleman was home to help your friend out, but things could have been much worse." And we're thinking, what the hell are you talking about? And started explaining Charles had been grabbed and pulled in. But then the cops basically told us not to make up tales like that, and they knew that we were trying to do some sort of prank on that place because that person wouldn't give us any candy. Now, we didn't know what he was talking about at first, but when it clicked that that grabber had tricked them somehow, one of my friends got incredibly mad, saying, That's not what happened. And he tried explaining the whole thing to the cops, like from start to finish. But then Charlie turned to him and said, "Dude, we shouldn't make up stuff like that. It's not cool." And we were stunned for what seemed like the 12th time that night. And I mean like completely stunned into silence, so all we did was just sort of stare at Charlie, thinking, what the hell's gotten into you? And the cops told us it was time to go home, and if they saw us out on the street again, causing trouble, they'd drive us all home personally with some very stern words for our parents. And this was the last thing we wanted, so we did as they said and just started walking back home. But you can bet that we asked Charlie what the hell happened in that house that made him act so suddenly weird. He told us it was dark at first, and that the guy was hurting him, bad too. The guy made Charlie tell him his name, where his family lived, where he went to school, and he promised each time the pain would stop if he told the truth, but he'd just follow up with another question while squeezing his fingers in a way that Charlie said was painful beyond all belief. Shiat. Huh. Fell asleep during this live. Just woke up by my son screaming in his sleep. Can't wake him up to save my life. Been trying for 10 minutes. Really? What the hell? It's kind of wild. Wake up! Wake up now! Be free. He loved 50 Cent. He'd kick Durst's ass. Remember when 50 Cent was shot 50 times? and survived. I haven't heard the Durst story. I don't actually know what you're talking about. I just read the comments about it and heard it from Joel. It's pretty funny. He promised each time the pain would stop. He promised each time the pain would stop if he just told the truth, but he'd just follow up with another question while squeezing his fingers in a way that Charlie said was painful beyond all belief. The guy made Charlie tell him almost everything personal about him, and then he said if he ever showed his face around or he talked about what he'd seen inside that house, he'd burn Charlie's home down at night with his family asleep in their beds. What did I eat today? So I went to my friend's for like a little bit of a business meeting related to the gym, and he made some healthy muffins and supposedly healthy pizza, but who fucking knows. And then we were there for a few hours, and I came back before the stream, had some Chipotle. What's up, Sarah? How goeth it? Welcome to heaven. The most heavenly stream. I remember sitting outside of the library at 14 when my friends would ask people insulting questions as they came out of the library. That's awesome. What will we do without music in our lives? I don't know, man. All we would have is fucking podcasts to listen to. Over and over and over and over again. Those human voices talking about fucking nothing. He's still asleep though, made me question if he's lucid dreaming. Yeah, maybe, who knows? He might not even remember when you wake him up. Are you drinking water or Diet Dr. Pepper? I have water tonight, freshly out of Dr. Piss. Dr. Penis. What's your Chipotle order? I get a bowl, or at least I got a bowl tonight, though I do fucking love a good ass burrito. It always seems like if you get a bowl, it's a little easier to get completely filled up prior to finishing it. But if you get like a burrito, I don't know what it is, you can just like eat fucking anything. You could put an entire toilet inside of a burrito and I'd probably finish it. What genre of music do you like and dislike? I mean, I like everything, honestly, for the most part. I mean, I like a lot of electronic music, probably the best, especially the more experimental stuff. But, I mean, like, I'm not gonna really like too much like pop music or pop country music. Like, obviously, I still like folk and bluegrass and stuff that has like soul to it and like actual like musical talent. But the more poppy shit just kind of makes me sick to my flirping stomach, you know? We wanted to know why he didn't just tell the cops all that, because the guy wouldn't so much as be able to burn a piece of toast if he was in jail. But Charlie said they had people everywhere. At least that's what he's been told, and he didn't want to risk that being true. And we then asked what he'd seen, as in like the thing in the house the guy didn't want him talking about. But Charlie got mad at the very suggestion that he'd tell us and said that he'd never breathe a word of what he saw for as long as he lived. But that wasn't completely true, because a couple of years later, what happened that night came up in conversation. Even years later, Charlie didn't want to risk revealing what he'd seen, so he never told much in the way of detail. But all he said was that it was bad, really bad. And even at that young age of 13, he understood why the guy said that he'd kill him if he spoke about what was in there. And he said that that was what made him believe that something might actually happen if he talked, because it was obvious that they weren't normal, and that they weren't good either. Sometimes me and my friends would talk about it, the ones that were there that night, and we didn't say anything to anyone else, but sometimes we'd talk about it among ourselves when Charlie wasn't around. And sometimes we wondered if he was making it out to be more than it was. But Charlie wasn't the type. His story also stayed completely consistent, and for many, many years too. And he also refused to go anywhere near that part of the neighborhood again, and if he'd made it all up, I don't think he'd have been that scared for that long. We ended up going to different colleges later, and we ended up losing touch over time. I learned to know better than to ask what he saw inside that house, but That doesn't mean I don't wonder, and to this day, I think about whatever it was he saw, and it was so terrible that it actually scared him into keeping it secret. 80s synth, some good house DJs, bluegrass. Hell yeah, brother. I mean, I really do love all... I can just tell when music has soul, as I'm sure most of you can as well, but yeah, whenever it's just like, lowest common denominator dog shit, it just freaking stinks, you know what I'm saying? What's the freaking point of that shit? Is Taylor Swift the biggest artist of our generation? I honestly have no fucking clue. I don't even know, really. I don't even know what Taylor Swift is. Like, when I look at Taylor Swift, I just assume she's some degree of reptilian clone, Like, I've never listened to any of her interviews. I don't know. I have no idea what she even sounds like outside of her music. And I generally don't even know if there's a single song that Taylor Swift has made since 2010 that I can even name. Does that make me a better person? Yeah, kinda. Your regular speaking voice is so close to your reading voice that hearing you talk about Chipotle sounds like you're reading a chain email creepypasta, yeah. If you get too much sour cream on your bowl, you don't want to find out what happens next. Once in a while, the Chipotle workers actually do their job. They don't even get mad that you ask them for double chicken. Is Taylor Swift the biggest artist of our generation? And I don't mean weight. Look at the Satanist that looks like Taylor Swift. They're pretty close. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I feel like to make it that far in life, you kind of have to be somewhat involved in some type of cult. I mean, Taylor Swift's audience, it's guaranteed you gotta be a cult. The fact that they just, circle the wagon. I mean, she's not, a bad person, I don't think, at least overtly so. I don't even know at least she doesn't, does she preach to people about stupid political shit at all? Does she sit there and try and, make you think certain shit? She's a business, for sure, yeah. She has a cute personality? Oh, interesting. A Nepo baby. Who's this Nepo, and why does he keep having babies? She's very apolitical, I think. Interesting. She's very quiet politically overall. She doesn't say anything about anything. I think she has done some political activism for the Dems. She's a loaf of bread. That's her stance. She's just a loaf of Wonder Bread. She's a billionaire. That is pretty cool, honestly. I wonder what it feels like to just be that wealthy, but still, for some reason, have a fixation on going and traveling and doing all that, I guess it's nice to be famous, right? Because you get all the other, you get to be a billionaire and then you just suddenly get stuff for free. She's extremely calculated, PSYOP level calculated. Yeah, can you expand on that? Okay, she is the only female artist to surpass 100 million certified album sales in the US as of 2025. She won Global Recording Artist of the Year 5 times, more than any other artist so far. Her Eras tour is a major phenomenon. It's grossed over $1 billion and has tremendous economic and cultural impact. She holds numerous charts, streaming, and award records, such as most awards at AMAs, VMAs. Her storytelling, fan connection, and reinventions have inspired many younger artists. She's been able to shift narratives around music ownership, streaming revenues, re-recordings, and artist power, such as her dispute with her label and her Taylor's version re-recordings. Her tour model and fan engagement methods have set new standards in pop music. She's active across genres, country, pop, folk, etc., and has successfully reinvented herself multiple times. Her ability to maintain relevance over nearly 2 decades as a rapidly changing industry strengthens her claim. That is wild. That's cool, though. Swifties took the mark of the beast. Did they? Did they get... If you're a true Swift fan, you were going to get a chip implanted in your wrist and in your forehead. The entire Wikipedia page for Taylor Swift's political impact. Let's see it. Let's go check out that. Let's go be mad about... I just want to be mad, guys. Be mad about everything, right? Doesn't it feel good to be angry? Taylor Swift Dickopedia. How many wieners has she seen? Not interacted with, just looked at. Political impact, her voice, her songwriting, her performance on stage, her videos, her achievements, an Xbox, her public image. I mean, I guess she is pretty. What if I dated Taylor Swift? Would you guys be mad? Social activism. I don't want to read all that. I don't care anymore. Let's be joyous. Okay, yeah, let's get addicted to joy and whimsy. Yippee, everything's perfect and everything's good. I love chocolates. And I love... I love eating and finishing my vegetables at dinner. And I always go to bed on time. Let's play hopscotch. I was kind of sad that there wasn't like little things like that in Little Nightmares. Like just animations for stuff like that. There was so many hopscotches drawn in chalk in the game, and you just couldn't even interact with them. Fortnite and cola! Yippee! Ich habe Fortnite, ich habe cola! That's true, I am meant to be with Taylor. Travis Kelce is a fraud. He's a frog. You know what's fun and whimsical? The ocean. You ever see sea anemones? Fundamentally unserious place. That's true. I remember recently seeing, and this is based on no scientific backing at all, but I saw something about eels. Eels don't reproduce. Is this true, chat? Chat, is this true and fake? Ich trinke cola. Do eels reproduce, or have we seen it? They do, we just don't know how. Oh, that's okay. Freshwater eels in the genus Anguilla, e.g. European eel, American eel, Japanese eel, migrate to the open ocean to spawn, produce. In 2022, wow, so pretty recently, scientists successfully tracked European eels, the Anguilla, to their suspected spawning grounds in the Sargasso Sea using satellite tags. In lab and captive settings, scientists have induced maturation and spawning via hormone treatments. Eggs have been fertilized under controlled conditions. And wild-caught Japanese eels, histological tissue-level studies have shown evidence consistent with multiple spawning, i.e. parts of their ovaries showing signs of previous spawnings. Okay, so it's a migrational. That's kind of cool. They go to eel mecca, and then they just straight up fuck in a big pit. Can you imagine a big pit of eels that's just like the size of the Mariana Trench? And they're just going fucking nuts in there. The Twisted Technician with the 5 says, "Hey Joel, hope all is well. Been a long time since I've been alive, but life gets busy. Glad everything is going well for you on YouTube here. Congrats." Thanks, friend. It's good to see you. I miss you. I fucking miss you, man. Where are you? What have you been up to? My ex-husband worked at a Taylor Swift show and got a signed tour book for one of my young patients who loved her. She couldn't go to the show because she fractured her femur when crossing her feet. Oh, that stinks. Well, that's nice of your husband to do that, though. Eels can use abacus? Do they actually know how? Are they, like, strangely smart? Oh, you know what was really annoying? This morning I, like, woke up and stretched, but, like, took a deep breath as I was stretching. And, like, all the muscles in my, like, right, you know, what the fuck is that? Like, underneath my shoulder blade, up my neck, just suddenly, like, locked up. It was so annoying. And then I've been spending the day trying to, like, roll some shit on it to, like, and stretch to get the knots to come out. But it was just, like, all these knots just, like, formed at one time. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Wart. I used to swim in the local loch until I saw somebody fishing for Eve. What's Eve? Oh, eels. Oh, Jesus, yeah. I posted like a Taylor Swift meme on my Instagram story, and somebody did get angry. They said they were very disappointed that I would like stoop to Taylor Swift hate. It's like, it's not hate. It was like, it was a funny meme where it was like her singing that it's good to leave dogs inside of a hot car all day. To me, I feel like it's pretty gender neutral comedy right there. Do you have any tightness around the middle of your upper back, any nerve pain? Not nerve pain, but yeah, it's just like if you imagine like you took a deep breath and you went to stretch, and then all of a sudden, like right under your shoulder blades, up your middle back, like upper back, throughout like your, what is it, like cervical and then thoracic, just like locked up and is really tight, and then there's like tightness going up to the neck. Just really annoying. I just need somebody to like stick their fucking elbow in there and explode all the knots. Dude, oh my god, can you imagine the future if there's just like a foolproofed sort of electrical stim process to get rid of like anywhere you put this thing, whether it's like a black goop that has electrodes connected to it, or some sort of shit, like maybe a pad, maybe one of those like icy hot pads, but somehow like way better, and it's just able to get out every fucking knot you have. That would be so insane. I remember when Meat Candy made a funny Taylor Swift animation and Swifties threatened to kill him for weeks. Don't you love that? It's just like, I love so much, but it's just like so weird. It's like a fucking person who like sits on a guitar and tries to entertain you, right? But for some reason you love the person who makes music and is an entertainer so much that you would kill for them. That's awesome, and I wish that I want those kinds of fans. There's an electro whatever acupuncture that helps you put the needle in and send an electrode through it into your muscle. Does it immediately release the knot? Swifties threatened Laura Clay too, all because she made a skit of Taylor Swift. I don't know. I just don't understand at what point did Taylor Swift somehow like weaponize her audience? Is there any, besides like K-poop and all that kind of stuff, is there any other audiences that are just absolutely bonky shit? Try a zero gravity massage chair. Zero gravity. You keep it on for a few minutes, but you can visibly see it moving the muscle. Interesting. You would kill a burrito for me? Yeah. Guys, next time you see a burrito, fucking shove it all in your mouth and just fucking chomp on it, because honestly, I think it said something bad about Let's Read. They get paradoxical themselves, and she just doesn't regulate it. I guess that makes sense. I guess any audience gets like that, and if like their queen doesn't make like an official decree of like, guys, daddy chill. If they don't say daddy chill, they're just going to keep taking it to the fullest extent of terrorism. I highly recommend getting an electric stimulation kit and a percussion massage gun. Use the first and then the second. Feels amazing. Super helpful for preparing for an adjustment. Oh yeah, dude. I need to go get adjusted. It's been a wee bit. Thank you, Lindsay. Keep spreading the news. She told them she's not their friends, and people got mad. Can you imagine? I think that's my favorite, is whenever like a certain figure has like cultivated this audience of like sycophants, right? And then just the idea of all of them like immediately turning their, instinctual rage / love that they seem to be walking on a fine line of at all times is suddenly like aimed towards their previous god. The idea of them just like ripping that god to pieces just brings such a strong degree of joy in my heart, and I hope it happens. I really do. Last September, I somehow landed this incredible. Last September, I somehow landed this incredible employment opportunity. The company was based out in the Pacific Northwest, and seeing that I was in NYC, I replied somewhat on a whim because the pay was so good. They gave me a call, I interviewed okay, and then when I didn't hear anything back for a couple of weeks, I figured that they'd just passed me over. But then one day, they called and told me that I'd got the job. I didn't say anything about not being serious regarding my applications, but I saw some other thing the other day that was saying that like most people's hunger is based on how many sneezes they have left. But a lot of times people will just like eat stuff until their body hits a certain level of like amino acid levels, which is like the breakdown of which is like the smaller form of like protein, right? So it's like carbs break down to glucose, And protein, I guess, breaks down into amino acids. And so, like, the reason that you would eat a bunch of carbohydrates and fats, like whatever amino acids would exist within that, collection of food, your body will stop at that exact amount of amino acids to say that you are satiated or good. And so in the same way that if you were to just kind of like focus on like eating a steak or eating some form of meat, you are, obviously much more prone to just like stop eating and therefore decreasing your overall calories if you just like kind of honed in on protein. Which I don't know to what extent what I just said was true, but it does sound interesting. Did I learn this from a reel? It was like a YouTube video, but let me see if we can. Was there a study where they said people ate carbs and fats until they hit a certain amino acid intake versus less food while consumed via protein? That's why a lot of people say eat protein before carbs. Do you like Morgan Whalen? I've heard of him, but I honestly don't know if I know any of his shit. Testing protein leverage in lean humans, Simpson, Robbenheimer et al. In this controlled feeding study, lean individuals were given diets with varying protein content, low, normal, high, under an ab libitum, eat as desired conditions. They found that when the diet was diluted in protein, lower percent protein with more carbs and fats, subjects increased total energy intake, apparently to reach a certain protein target. Conversely, when protein was abundant, total energy and fat plus carbs intake was lower, and protein leverage affects energy intake of high protein diets in humans. This study showed that high protein diets tend to lead to lower total energy intake, less calories consumed, suggesting that once protein needs are met, appetite for non-protein nutrients is down-regulated. Meta-reviews and mechanistic reviews, such as the macronutrients appetite and energy intake, summarize how protein tends to have the strongest satiety. I don't know how you say that. It's like satiated, but satiety, I think, effects among macronutrients. Satiety? No. Satiety. Is it just satiety? And how appetite regulation likely prioritizes protein. Okay. More recently, in population and epidemiological settings, studies have looked for signatures of protein leverage in free living individuals, i.e. whether total energy intake inversely correlates with percentage of energy from protein. Some results are consistent with the hypothesis. So that's kind of interesting, Want me to be your nutritionist? Don't worry. My big brain and Chat GPT can get anything done. You work for a nutritionist, he's chill as hell. He's literally just like a snowman. He's an ice pop. I'm in the process of getting one since I got GERD and IBS, so my diet is very limited. Oh, sorry. Anyways, yeah, maybe if you're hungry, just eat meat. I never knew I needed Joel reading nutritional journal studies in my life. Well, now we're good. We're set. Okay, where was I again? Pacific Northwest. They gave me a call. Told me I got the job. I didn't say it. Oh, okay. Inventing healthology. This is a study of basic health and intake. Started using magnesium a couple of weeks ago. Really helps the menopause. Oh, nice, dude. What would you prescribe for eels? I just say get to the goddamn eel orgy as soon as possible. We need more eels out there for the ecosystem. GERD often comes from inability to digest proteins, aka low HCl. Oh, right. So like just getting some apple cider vinegar diluted in water prior to consuming protein, and it helps to sort of break it down. It is kind of weird to think, honestly, at the end of the day, your ability to just like break stuff down is really just comes down to like your acid composition. I didn't say anything about not being serious regarding my application, but I did tell them that I might have some logistical issues in moving across the country and finding a place to live. I thought that I'd have them considering other candidates, but they were so dead set on bringing me aboard that they offered 12 months of free accommodation until I got onto my feet. It was a nice place too, small for a house, but well put together for what I could tell. And so in the space of around 24 hours, that application I sent off on a whim ended up changing my life. About a month later, I'd moved out to Washington to start my new job, and I was absolutely enamored with my new house. It was actually the first time that I'd lived in an actual house, and not just an apartment, and having expected to live in New York City for most of my life, living in a house wasn't something I expected until I was aged like 40 or 50. And it might sound kind of lame, but it was very exciting, and now Do you Americans know about coin emoji? No, is that like a Bitcoin? Our stomach's acidity is supposed to be like 1.5. Interesting. Oh, that's crazy. What do you do to keep your stomach acidic? Or like keep the pH down? I was vegetarian for like a decade, so I had to ease back into eating more meat because your enzymes weaken over time. Yeah, I imagine. I don't know. And that's what they were saying in the study too, is that like people would increase their intake of like rice and beans because you can technically get your amino acid profile from that, but you're just going to be consuming like way more calories. Supplemental HCl until you don't need anymore, and don't eat diatomaceous earth, like dirt, like a big clab of dirt. It might sound kind of lame, but it was very exciting in a sort of now I'm grown up kind of way. And the thing that got me super excited as we rolled into the middle of October was that Halloween was actually approaching pretty quick. And like I said, I'd never lived in a house before, only apartment buildings or Durst? A big handful of Durst? And like I said, I'd never lived in a house before, only apartment buildings, and trick-or-treaters generally don't actually stop at apartment buildings unless there's a bowl of candy outside and some direction on who to actually buzz. And that's if they trick-or-treat at all. Because from experience, it's definitely much more of a suburban activity than an urban one. But that meant, as late October started to approach, I started planning what I was going to do for the spookiest day of the year. I carved a pumpkin, bought a ton of fun-sized candy bags, and then made sure my front windows had enough decoration to entice local trick-or-treaters. And let me tell you, was absolutely no fuck. Baking soda. Baking soda is basically like Tums, so it would make your stomach acid very basic, I guess, or like non-acidic. Hence why people taking Tums, they like take Tums to fight against acid reflux, but in reality what they should be trying to do is like increase the acidity of their tummy so they don't suffer the symptoms of a very basic environment. It's actually kind of crazy that Tums is even like legally sellable, because in my opinion it's probably like the worst fucking thing you could ever take. LM, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. I'm not trying to be internet doctor, I'm just telling you my personal experience. Nothing is for life the human body was designed to repair. We shall repair it. Meat sweats are so weird, like you feel yourself sweating that meat you overate. Yeah, dude, it definitely seems to sort of hype up the metabolism for sure, turning up the heat. It does make you wonder though, like who knows, maybe just like really increasing your protein overall could increase your just generalized metabolism. Like if your body's like turning up its heat, it presumably is like burning more calories, or maybe it just needs to do more to burn through and break down those macronutrients. Hello, beautiful sumbitches. I be lurking in your creepy neighborhood, but I'm off to bed. Have a great week. I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, see you, Jesse. Take care. My car just ran over my feet while I was walking and nearly had me incapacitated. He was trying to assassinate me. Little insurance payout scheming pissant. Damn, dude. Wait, wait, who was it? Your car. It just did it itself? Not in park? Super Chat isn't working. Yeah, my friend was saying that he was having trouble with Super Chat. I don't really know, man. It's weird. And let me tell you, with absolutely no pun intended, it worked. Oh. And let me tell you, with absolute... Wait, no. That doesn't make any sense. Did I see the new Tron movie? I did not, no. I probably won't either, unless it's like actually kick-ass. When you gain weight, it seems to all go to my face. Any advice? Yeah, it's probably just like water retention, which like can be correlated with like carbohydrate intake and like, because, water sort of attaches to carbohydrates as you kind of like overeat or whatever, right? So same with like sort of its connection with salt. Like if you had a large amount of salt, water hangs on to, or, water and salt sort of combine together to hang on within your cells. And then same with like carbohydrates. It just sort of like grabs a lot of the water and like draws it into your tissues. Weight gain equals butt, weight loss equals boob deflation. I know, it's no fair, right? I really tanked at the Bofest this weekend, but the people who did see it are saying it's the best Tron movie. I think it's just because the advertising was like non-existent. I like didn't even hear that it was coming out, and then suddenly it was just there. And let me tell you, it worked. And from maybe 5:30 to around 8 o'clock, I had around 24 groups of trick-or-treaters knock on my door. I saw a Waldo, a Beetlejuice, a couple of cowboys, and then there was the kid who looked exactly like the main character from The Bear, who'd also apparently mastered the "I'm so tired I could collapse" look. And I saw a mini Michael Myers who made me wonder how the hell a 10-year-old knew who Michael Myers was, but I think the best costumes of the night were 2 boys wearing Mario and Luigi costumes who were almost the exact same proportions as those 2 Italian plumbers. And after Mario and Luigi showed up, the group started to thin out a little, and rather than face being interrupted while I was cooking or showering, I just decided to put a bowl of candy out on the windowsill outside so any latecomers could actually help themselves. Now, maybe an hour later, just after 9 p.m., I sat down on my couch to check out what horror movies Netflix had to offer. I was sitting there in my bathrobe, beer bottle in one hand and the TV remote in the other, when I suddenly heard a gentle tapping on my kitchen window. The size of the house meant my kitchen and living area were right next to one another, so I could literally turn my head and see where the person was knocking. I figured someone just wanted the candy bowl refilled, and by tapping on the window, they were just being a smartass and showing off to his costumed friends by acting very creepy. Now, I wasn't mad about it. I actually kind of smiled to myself thinking, alright buddy, that's exactly what I would have done. And I was also kind of half expecting a jump scare when I pulled back the blinds too, and that maybe some masked teenage troublemaker was going to growl more candy and scare me. But I was ready for them, so I grabbed the blinds, pulled them back, and just about felt my heart stop in my chest. Standing outside in the dimly lit street, I just saw some lone figure wearing a ski mask and dark clothing, and he was pointing what looked to be some kind of freaking thing. Emperor of the Eels. Yeah, what am I doing in that story? In my bathrobe? Oh, as Waldo, yeah. Tom Hardy plays Ed Gein. Is that really what they're doing? It seems... Oh, wait, Tom Hardy. Okay, Tom Hardy actually makes sense. Wait, no, you mean Spider-Man? Little Spider-Man? Or is that somebody else? Ed's spleen. He cuts it out and he cooks it with some oils. But baking soda is safe, teaspoon and glass of water. I would suggest not, unless you have some other plan for it. Hey Kezia, no worries, good to see you. I hope I'm saying that right. Kesha. There we go, it's Kesha Winston. I got it. Tom Hardy is not Tom Holland. I think they're the same guy, aren't they? They're British. They got the same build. Oh my god. Yeah, they never did a Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland Venom versus Spider-Man crossover because of legal crap. I'm generally just like kind of sick of fucking any superhero bullshit at all. It just, like, they just keep, all they do is just reset. They make it like, 2 years since the last one, reset, and then you go, oh, there's a new guy, it's just like, is nothing sacred? What's up, Dizzy? Maybe they could just be each other's stunt doubles. Standing outside in the dimly lit street, I saw a lone figure wearing a ski mask and dark clothing, and he was pointing what looked to be some kind of short, black shotgun at the window. Now, I must have looked at the guy for no more than maybe a split second, no longer than the time it took to blink, but when I look back on it, it was like he was perfectly framed by the window for maybe a minute or two. I remember how the material his ski mask was made of kind of shined in the low light, and I remember how his eyes were the widest I'd ever seen, and how the whites were the whitest I'd ever seen. I remember him holding the shotgun in both hands, and how it looked sleek and jet black, but kind of old and scuffed too, like it's been passed around. But then once that image had been burned into my brain, I hit the floor so hard that I ended up with some serious bruising on my arms and legs. Yet in the moment, I didn't feel so much of a twinge of pain as I slammed into the hardwood beneath me. I thought the shot was going to come at any second. The glass would come flying across the room, and I also figured that it was... Super Narrator. Welcome to Super Narrator, where I read everything. Don't put anything with words in front of me. I will read it. And when I read it, it becomes real. I thought the shot was going to come at any second. I thought the glass would go flying across the room. I also figured that I was screwed either way, because then he could just lean through the window and blast me. But no shot came. I'm not 100% sure how long I was lying there, but I had this weird thought of, I guess time really does stand still when you're terrified. I figured the guy was one trigger pull away from blowing out my windows, and that it was seconds dragging by before he re-aimed and fired again. But then I suddenly heard a car door slam, and then a really loud revving of an engine before a car sped off into the night. I didn't get up right away. Part of me didn't trust that it was over, but then after maybe a minute or so of silence, I pushed myself up off the ground and dared to peer behind the blinds. The street outside was quiet again, just streetlights and parked cars. And then when my legs stopped shaking enough for me to actually stand, I called 911 and told the dispatcher what had just happened. And that first call out was as boring as it was frustrating, because after taking my report, the cops basically told me to go get a hotel room for a night if I didn't feel safe, which, duh, I didn't feel safe. I knew they weren't exactly going to post a guard outside for little old me, but to basically be told don't like it, then leave, seemed incredibly cold. And I spent the night in a hotel and went to work that next morning with one hell of a story to tell. I figured that I'd probably spend a second night in that hotel too, because I still had no idea what was going on with that masked man and his shotgun, at least until I got a phone call from a police officer in the late afternoon, and then he explained everything. So the cop who called wasn't one of the regular street cops that I'd spoken to after the incident. This guy said he was from the city's gang task force, and after hearing the report, he believed that he could provide a little insight into what had happened. According to the cop, my home's previous occupants had been gang members, and had only vacated a matter of weeks before I moved in. In all likelihood, the guy with the shotgun didn't fire because he recognized that I wasn't anyone he was looking for, and rather than murder a civilian and bring down even more heat on them, the trigger man had the wherewithal to not do his job, and then drive back into the getaway car, and then dive back. order water from McDonald's, then have Uber Eats delivered so I can eat the driver. Just unhinge my jaw. Or just like slowly nibble on their toes till they're dead. Pro tip being a super narrator. Take the B12 boost vitamin from the gas station. You'll be reading aloud for days. So much efficiency, it's amazing. You may also have an erection for 48 hours.
This is great. I love this. I need some sushi.
And rather than murder a civilian and bring down even more heat on them, the trigger man had the wherewithal to not do his job and then dive back into the getaway car before I made it to a phone. He didn't think I'd be targeted again, not after they knew that it was some civilian in that place, and not who they thought. But as much as I'd like to say that that reassured me, I'm just not sure that it had the intended effect. I realized that up in my apartment building I was actually protected. I had some crazy nights in my time, and the streets of New York City can get equally crazy at the worst of times. But whenever I was home, I was up in my castle, 3 floors above all the craziness going on down there on the street. And it didn't even occur to me until that night how in that house I was exposed to just about any son of a bitch who came up and tapped on my window. That stayed with me too for a long time, and although there soon came a time when I felt safe enough to relax again, I also knew how terrified it'd be if I heard that same tapping on my window again. Do people with raspy voices make good narrator? Yeah, I guess it just depends on what they sound like. Long ago, Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, I guess it really just comes down to what they sound like, you know. But if it's just like some woman who smokes cigarettes every... Oh yeah, JFK. Or RFK.
I'm gonna read this next story. It didn't even occur to me until that night how in that house I was exposed to just about any son of a bitch who came and tapped on my freaking window. They stayed with me for a long time too, and although there soon came a time when I felt safe enough to relax, I also knew how terrified I'd be if I heard that same tapping on my window again.
Okay, I'm gonna go take my magnesium. I do love whenever I do the RFK voice, people are like begging, please stop. Please stop. You're scaring the hoes. You go to a party and just do that voice all night. Oh, fuck. Alright, I'm gonna go mag up. Guys, talk amongst yourselves. I'll BRB. Be nice to each other. Don't let any of the stalkers in.
All right, I'm back. The CIA killed my fucking uncle and my dad. Kinda crazy, right?
Anything cool happened whilst I was gone? In a hot tub. Suspiciously was fast compared to my normal 30-minute shits. I even made a little bit of a hydration drink. Hell yeah. One name you might have for me is the world. You might call me the universe, or perhaps God, or perhaps the truth. I am all, I am one. So of course this also means that I am you. I am the truth. Oh. Everybody in the chat's on shrooms. The shroomies.
Big pile of shroomers.
Okay. You're still abstaining from the sauce? I mean... What I drank this Friday. Friday night I went out with friends. I had probably like 3 Probably had 3 double vodka sodas with cranberry. It's like a skinny bitch drink, but then there was a lot of vodka in them. A Tootsie Roll got me fucked up. And yeah, it kind of caught up to me quick. But then I took that shit called Cheers. You can find it on Amazon, but it supposedly like gets rid of your hangover, and I didn't have one, which was kind of sick. But I guess also vodka is like pretty anti-hangover because it's like low sugar, from what I've heard. But I normally don't drink, but it was kind of an exciting weekend, I suppose, with people visiting. You're gonna have a little bit of fun. You're gonna have a little bit of fun in your life, don't you? From time to time. I got Troopsy.
I got splattered.
Who's the cat? You can hear my cat. His name's Pradeep. He's a gentleman. A gentleman of the cloth. Vodka Red Bulls will sneak up on yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not drinking it with Red Bull. You don't want to have a fucking Four Loko heart explosion. The most ingredients in a single cocktail recipe is 75, if I recall correctly. 75 ingredients? Gentleman of the fur. He's got his little tuxedo that he always wears. He's a furry. Alright guys, this is the last story, believe it or not. Believe it or not. How old is Pradeep? He is 11. 11 years old. He's a little baby boy. And no, he doesn't have a shock collar. Alright. We're cruising, we're bruising. Too early? Maybe this story will be long. Maybe it'll be a long and girthy story. The scariest events of my entire childhood took place on Halloween. So I was out trick-or-treating with some friends, and we were making our way towards the neighborhood with big houses and some pretty long driveways. And we'd gotten full-size candy bars at a couple of houses the previous year. As you can imagine, we were pretty excited to get back there before they ran out. And as many of those big houses had people celebrating Halloween, so we had to walk between maybe 4 or 5 at a time before we saw ones with decorations. Now we hit up one place and then found another, but then had to walk like a whole block before we saw another place that looked like it was giving out candy. Now my 2 friends and I started walking up the driveway, and this place looked really friendly and welcoming. They didn't have one, but actually 2 pumpkins out front, and whoever decorated the porch had spared no expense whatsoever. There were these little plastic bats.
Plastic bats. The bat.
Hey Dead Bear, what's up, dude? How goeth it? Do you guys think I'll be still making the same stupid fucking jokes in 20 years? Is that how it goes? You just kind of make the same comedic references till you're dead? I hope so. That's true. I guess that's true. I'm so foony. I'm such a foony guy. Alright. My jester. I like to throw knives at my jester's toes, right between them. You think you'll still be doing YouTube in 20 years? I mean, I don't really see why not. I guess my fear is just like what the future holds for the internet in general. Because obviously if the UK is doing their stupid like internet ID bullshit, and then soon there's, you know, don't tell them this, but soon there will probably be like some sort of dumbass, like, you gotta go meet with the state and let the state know what kind of, you know, content you make for your content license on the internet, or, you know what I mean? It's gonna be like an FCC regulated bullshit, you know. There's just gonna be more and more regulation till like the fucking government just makes nobody want to do it except the same corporations that ran TV years ago or whatever. I mean, Yeah, gooning's not going anywhere, but they do want to know what you are gooning to at all times. And they do want to see you do it too. Hey, can we be friends? Everyone's a friend here. We be doing RedTube in 20 years. That's probably where everything's going to move to. It's the last free speech bastion. They make us upload our ID to use YouTube. I'm just going to cold turkey stop watching all my little videos. No! Is this channel based out of the UK? No, it's the United States of America. Hell yeah. Alright. My buddies and I started walking up the driveway, and the place looked really friendly and welcoming. They didn't have just one, but 2 pumpkins out front, and whoever decorated the porch had spared no expense whatsoever. There was plastic bats hanging from the ceiling of the porch, creepy plastic root-looking things wrapped around the columns, and the front door had been draped in these fake cobwebs. It looked awesome, so I remember expecting nothing but a very warm welcome and some of those precious full-sized bars. And instead, we got something that sent us running and screaming back down the driveway. I remember pressing the... Oops. Thanks, cool girl. Appreciate you. I remember pressing the bell at the side of the door but not hearing anything. I figured that it might have been one of those electric doorbells with sort of a softer ding-dong that you could only hear inside the house. But then when no one came to the door, I assumed that it was probably broken or something of that nature. And that's when I reached for the door to knock on it. But when I did, it swung open just a little on its hinges, revealing that it was unlocked and actually open. Both me and my buddies kind of looked at each other on account of how strange that was, and then I knocked once more while calling out, "Hello? Anyone home?" No one answered. And apart from the soft sound of a TV playing somewhere in the house, it stayed completely silent. And as things went from weird to creepy, one of my friends suggested that we just leave. And I felt it too. Sort of this creeping sense that we shouldn't be there, and that something bad was actually happening. But at the same time, I just had that burning curiosity, and I couldn't just walk off without first pushing that front door open. I remember reaching out very slowly, and one of my friends says, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" But I didn't listen. I just slowly pushed the door open with the tip of my finger while calling out again to see if anyone was home. I'd hoped to see a person walking down the hall, having just neglected to fully close their door after that last bunch of trick-or-treaters had showed up. But instead, I saw an older woman. Oh, okay. I gotta listen to my stories. But you gotta say it the same way that old people say they watch their soaps. You guys gonna be in the nursing home listening to Let's Read Stories? What if if you ran a nursing home and you had like a speaker system in every room? You could just play Let's Read through everyone's speakers. I gotta listen to my reads. My favorite part of the new Tron was when he said, "It's Tronin time," and then whipped out his cock and started jerking it. Justin, what the hell? Did that happen? Was that in your version? Justin Leto? Joey, I lost my teeth, now I whistle when I tell stories. Sweet, sweet Caroline. What games on my phone do I have? What games do I have? Let's see. Yeah, I got YouTube. Do I have any games? I do need some games. Also, it's really cute. Like, honestly, my parent, like, nobody in my family really listened to my stuff, but then randomly my mom just started sending me pictures of, like, the picture, like the TV in their room, and like the dogs are at the foot of the bed, and she's just listening to Let's Read. It's cool. That's cool. They finally found out that I do YouTube. That's awesome. Just kidding. I don't have any games on my phone. I got nothing cool. I just stare at shit. Stop leaving repeated lines in your narrations and burps. Why, dude? What about farts? Can I do farts? If you want me to stop, you're gonna have to do a full-blown protest. I'm gonna play a little on my pooter before bed. All my friends are on my little pooter. But instead, I saw an older woman lying on the floor so that all I could see were the bottoms of her shoes. When my friend saw, he gasped to himself and then just called out a sort of soft... What the fuck? A sort of soft. My friend got soft. When my friend saw, he just gasped to himself and then called out just as softly to ask if she was okay. Obviously, she wasn't okay, and I honestly thought that she was dead at first. But then as soon as my buddy called again... What the fuck is wrong with me? Did I delete my Temple Run and Subway Surfer? Dude, it's so sad. I never got to play those games. Honestly, I never got to play anything cool on my phone, I feel like. What if my mom... my mom sends me a photo. She's like, I'm getting ready for bed. And it's just a picture of corpse husband on the TV. What the fuck? Hey, I sing your mommy to sleep every night. Some sweet lullabies. Do I know celebrity? Do I know a celebrity? I know Mr. Googie. He's huge on Mutz. He's huge on Mutza. Obviously, she wasn't okay, and I honestly thought she was dead at first. But then as soon as my buddy called out, she kind of just reared up so she was sitting on her butt and looked right at us with these eyes that looked like they were looking through us. But that's not what really scared us. What sent us running back down the driveway, screaming our little heads off, was the blund. Sorry. What if she sends a goodnight message with a pic of you from outside your window? You're on the second floor. Hi, sweetie, I'm here to kill you. Alright, Mom, I'm ready whenever. And she just throws a grenade in. Here you go. She throws a perfectly placed C4. She sends me a goodnight message, and it's her watching Jack Frags play Battlefield 6. This is my favorite YouTuber. You're a fucking loser. You don't play Battlefield at all. You suck at shooters. Every night, my mother listens to Chills to chill. It's all crowdfunded nursing homes, so I can listen to our Let's Read stories. Maybe, I could start one. And I could age all of you really quick with some spooky story. I'll scare you so much your hair will turn gray. What sent us running back down that driveway, screaming our little heads off, was the blood running out of the gash where her forehead met her hairline, and the raspy, scratching groan that she let out as she just sat there looking at us. Now the first of us turned and... What does this say? The first of us to... I'm the first celebrity you've talked to? The world's biggest celeb. I'll be walking the red carpet here soon. All of us will. The first of us to turn and run started screaming, "Zombie! It's a zombie!" at the top of our... Dude, what is... I don't know why this one's been a fucking struggle for some reason. It's a zongie. The first of us to turn and run started screaming, "Zombie! It's a zombie!" at the top of his lungs. And I blame my little kid brain for this, but I was also thinking, holy crap, it really is like the living dead for a few seconds. At least until it occurred to me that there was no way in hell that that lady had come back to life after being dead, and that in actual fact, she was actually really hurt and in some serious need of help. My buddy was still yelling about zombies when we ran up the driveway of the house opposite that, and I had to tell him to shut the hell up before anyone answered the door, because they'd end up probably calling the cops thinking some kids were just playing a prank on them. And as soon as a man opened the door, I started yelling about how he needed to call an ambulance because the lady across the street was hurt. And this guy yelled at us for,
"I ain't got no candy. I ain't got none."
the Silver Fox Retirement Home. I went to an all-women's gym, but then it closed and I haven't been since, just doing stuff outside the house. Oh, does it have to be an all-women's gym? Maybe the spray bottles to clean stuff down will have pepper spray in it, so if a guy even gazes at you, you can be ready. He'll be doing his, squats with 500 pounds on his back, and you can just have the spray bottle right next to his eyes. If he even thinks to look in your direction or in the reflection of the mirror to make eye contact with you, you can just blind him right there and then. I was soft launching you getting on the game with me, but it was wave sweepy. It's time to retire my chambers. Oh, no worries. Soft launching. I was getting soft. That's how good. Time for, I probably should hit the hay early night, or maybe I'll edit. I might do my edits tonight after the stream, honestly. Is this my real voice? I do believe, unless I'm the real chillsers. How's the gym stuff going? It's fine. It's just we're kind of getting systems in place to basically just put out all the fires and then get things going in motion at full Borington. Do you walk in and say, "I am all women. I am all the women at this gym. Everyone else is not a woman"? What's up with everything at Jules' AI lately? I don't know, it's just too perfect, I guess. Doth your gym perhaps have "are there"? I'm a firefighter too. I'm everything. Everything you want me to be, I am it. Okay. The guy yelled for his wife to call 911, then we all ran back across the street. The lady was sitting on her porch by then, holding something against her head to stop the bleeding, and having woken up a little from being out cold, she was able to talk again. I remember the guy called her Helen when he asked her what had happened, and she told him how some son of a bitch had whacked her soon as she... Oh. Yeah, my gym is 100. It's only guys allowed. Only dudes. Only hot dudes. Jorel, also our therapist and safe space man. The safe space man. The only safe space is out there in the vacuum of space. And then I teleport you into space where you just float forever. I remember the guy called her... I live off YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's pretty sick, isn't it? I suggest everyone here to make a YouTube channel right now. Join the Triangle Scheme today. I remember the guy called her Helen when he asked her what had happened, and she told him how some son of a bitch had whacked her as soon as she opened the door. It turns out the guy had been walking around in an oversized Halloween costume, mask and all, and then hit her over the head with something when she went to tell him to buzz off. She thanked us for telling someone to call 911, but she seemed to be fine, and that if we came back the next night she'd give us all of her leftover candy for being such good boys. And we did just that. And there she was, with a bandage around her head and with her husband thanking us for helping her. I'm glad everything turned out okay, we all were, but at the time it was one of the most frightening things I'd ever experienced. I guess at that perfect age where I knew what I was seeing, but my mind couldn't quite process all that fear and dread that came with it. I thought that I was seeing the dead coming back to life, and that was horrifying to me. But now I understand the real tragedy is that when they're gone, there's no coming back for the people we love. He loved that old lady? Do you know Chills? Have you guys had a conversation before? Yeah, I've talked with Chills. He's really nice. His name's Dylan. Chilling with Dylan. I mean, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he's just a down-to-earth guy who's just, just one of those people who's like open to talking to whoever and just down to like help you if you need any assistance with, finding the bathroom or whatever. He's just that guy, Do you need a six-pack to join your gym? You need a whole keg. Otherwise, how are we supposed to get fucked up? Wait, did the person that's came up with the Burger King but lettuce, not Chills himself, but the one that did it in parody, did they actually die? Because weren't they just a college, high school age kid whenever they made that meme, and that really was only less than a decade ago? Those NPC videos the Spider-Man doing what he's told, shit's so brain dead. What are you talking about? The top 5 guy. Is that still him? I think that's still him. Alright guys, we're gonna read the outro. And I'm gonna need you to tell me something funny. Do you ever talk about the Mandela effect? We kind of talk about, not necessarily on the channel, but I think we kind of talked about it related to Frank Herbert or whatever his name was, who's the one that, no, wait. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Philip K. Penis. Do you guys remember that guy? He was talking about the simulation, life is a simulation, the holographic universe type thing, and multiple timelines, long before everyone else. What did say about simulation theory and multiverses, not Marvel? My outro should be happy birthday, Tony. Wait, who's Tony? Why are there no adult jungle gyms? I would sign up in a second. You could just go. Who's gonna stop you? If you went to one of those ones, you could just push the kids out of the way too. Alright, so key moments by Dick. Met's speech. If you find this world bad, you should see some of the others. 1977. In that speech, Philip K. Dick, given at a science fiction festival in Metz, France, Dick outlines a vision of multiple realities or universes, some of which are more real or less degraded than the ones we inhabit. He suggests that what we perceive as our world is only one layer, and that there are others, alternate universes, behind or beyond it. He also speaks of a computer-programmed reality and claims that we are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. The idea is that glitches, or temporal anomalies, déjà vu, or sudden shifts in the world might be signs that the underlying program has been altered, or that we are seeing intersections between layers. This speech is often taken by Dick scholars as his clearest public dick pic statement of a multiverse plus simulation view. How to build a universe that doesn't fall apart in 2 days later, 1978 lecture essay. In this address, Dick Pick explores the idea that behind our immutable, changing world, there may lie an unchanging, deeper reality, echoing ideas from Parmenides, Plato, that undergirds the apparent flux. He says, quote, "There's an internal evidence in at least one of my novels that another reality, an unchanging one, underlies the visible phenomenal world of change, and we can cut through it. Time passes, but the ancient world is concealed beneath the present world, there and still real." He treats the visible world almost as a projection, an overlay, and or a manipulated facade that might fall apart if not sufficiently coherent, hence his desire to build a universe that doesn't fall apart. Throughout the speech, he also discusses how perception, language, media, and powers that shape pseudo-realities can distort our sense of what is real. Dick often embeds simulation-type thought experiments into his stories. A few notable examples: the electric ant. In this short story, the protagonist discovers he is in fact an electric ant, i.e. a kind of android whose perceived reality is fed by a punched tape inside him. By altering the tape, he can change what he perceives, and its effects ripple outward. The story is a very direct metaphor for a tape/program driving reality model. Many of his later novels, such as Valis, explore Gnostic, mystical, and metaphysical ideas, layers of reality, transcendent entities, and the notion that our world is an image, illusion, or a simulacrum of a... Am I saying that right? Simulacrum? Riveting. Of a deeper reality, though these are often mixed with religious and visionary language. Capacities of pseudo-reality and power, Dick also made some general and quotable statements about how reality is constructed and manipulated. Reality is that which, when you stop believing in it, doesn't go away. This is one of his more famous aphorisms. The basic tool for manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who must use the words. This suggests for Big Dick that control of narrative, language, semantics, media is deeply entangled with controlling what is considered real. That is true. I feel like we've said that before on the stream, haven't we? Today we live in a society in which spurious realities are manufactured. By electronic mechanisms, we are bombarded with pseudo-realities. I ask, what is real? He saw, even before digital virtual reality, that technologies of media and communication can create convincing illusions or false worlds. In these comments, Dick was often less concerned, or at least less systematic, than a philosopher would be, but more probing about the instability or mutability of what we accept as, quote, the real world. Interpretation in relationship to simulation theory, multiverse ideas. Dick's ideas anticipate and overlap with many of the contemporary themes of simulation hypothesis and multiverse speculation, but with a more metaphysical, mystical, and experimental twist. Proto-simulation intuition. His statement about living in a computer-programmed reality and clues being variable changes is almost a folk version of the modern simulation hypothesis, e.g. Nick Bostrom, that our universe may be a simulation run by others and that apparent anomalies might be glitches. However, unlike modern proposals, Dick does not generally frame it in technical computational terms with detailed algorithms. His language is more metaphorical, mystical, or visionary. Dick often gestures at the idea that many universes or alternate realities exist, some better or worse, and that they can sometimes juxtapose, intersect, or bleed into one another. The title of the Met speech itself, See Some of the Others, emphasizes this. His fiction sometimes dramatizes shifts or transitions between worlds, e.g. characters waking to find their world altered or reality collapsing. Importantly, Dick suggests a hierarchy among these realities. Some are more real, more stable, less degraded, or more authentic than others. His metaphysics often involve gnosis, revelation, contamination, and redemption. Which is kind of interesting, because I don't know if you guys are... You ever hear about there being like 13... Hey, Yuji. Did you ever hear about there being like 13 layers of reality or something like that, or like 13 total dimensions? Did you guys ever hear about this stuff like long ago? You're gonna cheat, Justin? Come on now. Come on now. Stay focused. You guys never heard that? Oh, okay. Anyways, for Philip K. Dick, the simulation or alternate reality metaphor is often bound up with religious or mystical experience. After his visions in 1974, he developed the idea of Valis, the vast active living intelligence system, or the Matrix to most of you, as a kind of cosmic transmitter or a higher order intelligence that brigades these levels. His cosmetology tends to treat the everyday world as fallen, corrupted, or trapped, awaiting a deeper insight or intervention to cut through to the real. This is less like a neutral simulation hypothesis and more like a spiritual metaphysical worldview cloaked in science fiction. I guess that's true, yeah. It's basically he's like referencing the Bible in like almost a sci-fi kind of way. Which is true. Remember we talked about like how people talking about simulation theory, so many of my friends always say like, dude, sometimes I think we just live in a simulation. I'm like, bro, how is that any different than like living in like a creator God's reality? You know what I mean? Like if God created reality, like it's just different words to describe the exact same fucking thing. Philip K. Dick often emphasizes the instability of perception. Our senses, memory, language are all fallible, malleable. Thus, if we inhabit a simulated world, we might never fully access the base reality. His idea that media narratives, institutions can manufacture pseudo-realities shows that he saw the border between real and simulated as porous and contested. God created this tree trunk thighs that he did. Exactly. Egg Snackly. What are their views on death? Okay. Because much of Dick's later worldview is tied up with visionary, even schizophrenic or mystical experiences, the famous 2374 event and his extensive exegesis? One must be cautious about treating his statements as dispassionate philosophical theses. Dick's language is often poetic, metaphorical, and elliptical. His intended meaning sometimes shifts or is ambiguous. He rarely develops a fully worked-out theory in the academic sense. Rather, his ideas are suggestive, provocative, embedded in narrative and imagery. I mean, that makes sense. What the heck are you talking about? I'm so lost. Remember I was telling you I was going to ask you if you guys knew about Philip K. Dick's, like, discussing, like, a holographic reality. Or, like, living in a simulation. Meat flesh probably, but who can really say? Well, let's see. What did Dick say about life after death? Get on the elliptical, he said. He says, hit the gym. The 1974 2374 experience, catalyst for his afterlife thinking. Dick's concept of life after death took shape after what he claimed was a series of visions and mystical experiences in February to March 1974. He described being flooded with knowledge, seeing into past lives, and feeling as if another intelligence, which he called Valis, the vast active living intelligence system, was communicating with him. He wrote that during this time he had the sense that, quote, time had stopped in 70 AD with the fall of the temple, and the world I lived in was a layered illusion. The true reality was still there, timeless. This convinced him that the soul exists outside of linear time and can see or remember other lives, implying a reincarnation or multi-dimensional persistence after death. The immortal information field. In his journals, I can't even say this word, the exegesis of Philip K. Dick, he often speculated that human beings are not simply physical organisms, but information systems, part of a vast living database or cosmic computer. He wrote, quote, we are information that thinks it's alive. When we die, the information is retrieved, not lost. This anticipates ideas like digital immortality or consciousness as data, similar to the simulation concepts he discussed elsewhere. He believed death might simply be a transfer of data to another layer of reality, the next level of the simulation. The Gnostic view escaped from the prison world. Dick's spiritual framework was heavily Gnostic. We saw the material world as a trap. Wow, dude, this is like some Saturn soul shit right here, right? He saw the material world as a trap, a fake construct made by an imperfect or malevolent force. The demiurge, the true divine realm, the pleroma, existed beyond it. From this view, death is liberation. The empire never ended, quote-unquote. Our true home is with the Father beyond the black iron prison. What the fuck? Is he talking about Saturn? I think he's dude, he might be one of those Saturnologist fellas. He used this metaphor repeatedly, suggesting that after physical death, the soul wakes up from the false world and returns to the authentic divine one. This is seen most clearly in Valis, the divine invasion, and the transmigration of Timothy Archer, where reality itself is the veil keeping souls from truth or God. Interesting. The Transmigration of Timothy Archer in 1992. This novel, his last, directly addresses death and what happens afterward. The main character, Bishop Archer, dies while seeking transcendental knowledge. The protagonist, Russell... Dude, I need to read more Philip K. Dick. What the fuck? This sounds amazing. Do I believe in reincarnation? I have no idea, man. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised by much of anything anymore. He's a Saturn's soulologist, yeah. He loved my channel in the future. He was part of the Gooch gang. The gang of Gooch. Alright, the main character, Bishop Archer, dies while seeking transcendental knowledge. The protagonist wrestles with whether his consciousness continues beyond death. Philip K. Dick writes through her, quote, "The dead are not gone. They are folded into the living. Death is not the end, it is an entry into the continuum. Here, Dick refuses reincarnation, information persistence, fuses reincarnation, information persistence, and spiritual continuity. Not resurrection of the body, but continuity of mind or pattern. The anamnesis concept, remembering eternal life. A key part of Dick's philosophy is anamnesis, the sudden remembering of one's eternal identity. He described moments when he recalled being a different person across eras, suggesting that the soul doesn't perish, but cycles through states of awareness. From Valis, quote, "We have already been saved, we just don't remember it. We are in a fallen, spurious world, but occasionally memory returns, and we recall the true one. In this sense, life after death isn't a future event, but a latent truth forgotten while trapped in the illusion of time." Letters and interviews, the quote, "living dead and reawakening." In correspondence from the late 1970s, Dick sometimes said he believed the afterlife and life was simultaneous, layered realities rather than sequential ones. Quote, "The dead are with us now. They have not gone anywhere. They inhabit another layer of the same world. Death is a form of waking up. It's the dream that ends." Huh. Dude, I feel like I've wondered that about ghosts too, that maybe they're just kind of like replaying memories or something, or perhaps like if we are sort of like all existing in separate timelines or maybe at different times in general, like it's all just like playing out on top of each other, and like the thing that we're afraid of is actually just someone from another timeline kind of living out their experience in real time. Ridiculous. My dad was among the first computer programmers in the late 60s, so before our current advanced computing age, were all those people living in a non-reality. The Matrix is a movie. Yeah, I'm not saying this is real or anything. I'm just reading what Philip K. Dick was discussing in his sort of philosophies and shit, and like apparently what he believed to be like receiving external information from Valis or something like that. He also said that reality was like a constantly updating hologram, where the divine mind recycles and reprojects information, so death is simply logging off one instance and logging into another. Okay, like playing out different games. How old am I? I'm 35. Can we go to bed? Yeah, let me just read the outro here, and we'll get you guys out of here. Outro? Outro, please, and some whiskey. You guys will be free from the mod cafe. Tickle your brain. Okay, somebody think of something funny for me to say at the end. Please, please, please. Maybe we can talk more about Philip K. Dick next time, but I do have to get off and go edit and stuff. There's work to be done, guys. There's work to be done. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday and Wednesday night. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. I also have a true crime channel called Saturn Soul. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember... What are we remembering? Remember your past life. Justin, welcome back for 10 months, says try Bluetoothing your bad farts to someone else. That would be amazing. That's like when someone asks, like, who just shit my pants? Oh, you just got here, Doza. I'm sorry. The eels have eyes. Oh yeah, what did we learn about eels? Thanks so much, friends. And remember, the eels migrate into a big pit to procreate. Isn't that kind of insane? That like something as like monumentally important as like eels procreation was not discovered until 2022? That was like not that long ago. But anyways, everybody jump in the eel pit. Into the eel pit! I wonder if eels would hurt you if you just jumped into their big mud pit. But guys, thanks for being here. This was fun. Much love to you, much appreciation. I'm going to get this up and edited over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. You can get as much slime as you want. Bring the sauce. Otherwise, new YouTube video, same time, same place, 9 p.m. EST. It really does help when you set the notification bell and watch right when it comes out. But I hope you get some good sleep wherever you are on planet Earth. Otherwise, have a great day. Love you, appreciate you, and I'll see you again for the next stream, which is probably on Wednesday, right? So follow me on Instagram at letsread.official to be kept up to date when I go live. Otherwise, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Remember that meme? Bye-bye. Okay. See ya.